They are from Hampton Law School and also from the Dispute Resolution Center in St. Paul. They are here to help provide a transparent and impartial process for the selection of the speakers tonight. And helping with the microphone speakers, whether your name is chosen to speak, you come down and talk to Larry Bachman, who's sitting right in the corner here. At the pink microphone, and Sunday Carbold, who's over at the yellow microphone. Drew Hagquist has the challenging job of typing from public, so we'll be typing in the names. We'll be drawing them throughout the evening. And then Karen Deanna is coming in here, and she has extra public comment speaker forms if you need them. She'll be walking through the audience and also picking names as we go through the evening. So before we start with the public comment process, and I'll go into some more detail about how that works after this presentation from Randall Deneen, the Department of Natural Resources, and we'll introduce you to the panel members who are listening this evening from the co-lead agencies who are sponsoring this meeting, and that will be the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Forest Service, and the U.S. Department of Engineers. They'll be listening to public comments this evening. After Randall's completed his presentation, we'll have the co-lead agency representatives who are listening this evening speak, and then I'll talk a little bit more about the process of making sure that we can get through as many speakers as possible in 3 hours. So you know the time frame, we're starting to count for 3 hours and we start the public comments. So this initial portion is not part of that time spent. Sir,
Hello, I'm Randall Deneen with the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources. I supervise the Environmental Review Program, which prepares environmental documents when the department is designated as the responsible governmental unit. In this case, we partnered with the United States Army Corps of Engineers and the United States Forest Service to prepare the supplemental draft EIS for the North Met mining project and land exchange. The purpose of today's meeting is to provide the public information about the supplemental draft EIS. As part of this meeting, the co-lead agencies are interested in hearing public comments on the supplemental draft EIS. In the interest of making as much time as possible for public comments, my presentation will be fairly brief. More detailed information on the project and the EIS is available in the open house or in the videos that were prepared and are showing as part of the open house. The environmental impact statement was prepared as part of a formal environmental review process that is mandated by the Federal National Environmental Policy Act and the state Minnesota Environmental Policy Act. The purpose of environmental review is to provide information to governmental decision makers about the environmental consequences of the project. This information is used to ensure governmental decisions on projects minimize and mitigate significant environmental effects. The environmental review process is also meant to provide public disclosure, review, and input on the environmental effects of the project, as well as potential mitigation measures and alternatives. The environmental review process for the North Met project includes several steps that have occurred over approximately 8 years. I want to take a few moments to describe the previous, current, and next steps in the process. EIS scoping occurred in 2006, and it would identify the important information that required further analysis in the EIS. The draft EIS was prepared in 2009, and it was accompanied by a 90-day comment period and 2 public meetings, one in Aurora, in this location, and one in Blaine. Over 10,000 comment periods were received as part of that comment period. The supplemental draft EIS is, of course, the current stage in the project. Not all projects have supplemental draft EISs. Governmental agencies decide to prepare supplemental documents if there are significant changes in the project, conditions, or information such that additional public review is warranted. In this case, a supplemental draft EIS was prepared for 3 reasons. 1, the U.S. Forest Service land exchange was added as a connected action. 2, the project proposer, PolyMet, made some important changes in the project, some of which are in response to comments received on the draft EIS. And third, the co-lead agencies determined, based on the comments that were given in the draft EIS, that a more robust environmental analysis was necessary, specifically related to a better understanding of effects to water resources. The final EIS is the next stage in the process. All comments received on the supplemental draft EIS will be considered. Additional information and analysis may be completed as part of the final EIS. Responses to all comments and any additional information or analysis will be included in the EIS, and that EIS will have a public review period. Considerations for permits or other project approvals occur after the final EIS. The DNR must determine if the EIS is adequate before any final governmental approvals. Both federal agencies must each prepare separate records of decisions after the final EIS. PolyMet Mining Incorporated's proposed NorthMet mining project includes a mine site, a plant site, and a utility core. The mine site is approximately 6 miles from Babbitt within the Harper's River watershed. The plant site is at the former LTV company's taconite plant, which is near Point Lakes. The mine site would include open pit mining, waste rock stockpiles, ore handling facilities, water management features, and a wastewater treatment facility. The plant site would include the use of existing buildings for ore processing, a tailings basin on top of the existing LTV tailings basin, a hydrometallurgical plant, a hydrometallurgical residue facility, water management features, and a water treatment plant. The utility corridor is an existing rail and power line which will be upgraded for project needs, including the new water pipeline. The U.S. Forest Service Land Exchange is a connective action to the proposed mining project. PolyMet Mining Incorporated controls the mineral rights in the area of the proposed mine, but the U.S. Forest Service owns the surface rights. PolyMet proposes a land exchange to eliminate the conflict between the surface mining and the U.S. Forest Service administration of the National Forest land. The exchange would involve the transfer of about 6,650 acres of forest land for up to 6,722 acres of private land. The supplemental draft EIS is organized into 8 chapters, which are identified on this slide. In general, the EIS includes information about how the document was developed, the purpose of the project, a detailed project description, and environmental information related to the project. The environmental information is broken up into a description of the environmental conditions that would be affected in Chapter 4, and a separate chapter, Chapter 5, that describes the potential environmental effects from the project. Environmental information in the EIS includes a cumulative effects analysis, which looks at environmental effects from the project combined with other past, present, and reasonably foreseeable projects. There is also a chapter that describes major differences of opinion that were identified during preparation of the EIS between the code leads and tribal coordinating agencies. Chapter 5 of the supplemental draft EIS identifies the potential environmental effects from the mining project and land exchange. Potential effects to land use, water resources, wetlands, wildlife, aquatic species, air quality, noise and vibration, cultural resources, socioeconomics, recreation and visual resources, hazardous materials, and geotechnical stability are all described within this chapter. The supplemental draft EIS is a large document and includes some very detailed analysis of potential environmental effects. The code leads have developed 2 videos and fact sheets to help people orient the document. We hope that these additional resources, the open house, and this presentation will help you navigate the supplemental draft EIS to find the specific information that you are interested in. If you do not find what you're looking for, or if you have suggestions and or comments on the analysis we have conducted, please submit a formal comment so that we may consider your input. The project website contains the document itself, as well as fact sheets and links to the U.S. Forest Service and U.S. Army Corps of Engineers web pages. The comment period ends on Thursday, March 13, 2014, and comments may be submitted by email to northmetsdis.dnr@state.mn.us. Hard copy letters may be submitted to Lisa Fay at the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, 500 Lafayette Road, Box 25 in St. Paul, Minnesota. All of this information is included in the meeting packet that was made as part of the open house. I'll now turn back to Amy Goodman.
I ask the co-lead agencies representatives who are listening tonight, I think they're ready to come have a seat. I'm waiting with the door closed. There we go. And I'll hand the mic over to Commissioner Lambert once he gets settled in to give a welcome.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the public meeting. We really appreciate coming here tonight. We have a lot of interest in this, obviously. The Department has resources responsible for our community, so we are meeting this meeting. We are glad you're here. We look forward to your comments. And if you go to other opportunities to comment, we'll allow you to have advantage of those. But we're going to sit up here tonight, we're going to listen to you, and take the comments back. Supplemental res, so again, thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Welcome. I'm Brenda Halter, Forest Supervisor at the Superior National Forest. So, to me, the public comment here is one of the most important components of the process. So, I'm really looking forward to your comments, questions, and concerns and issues. And thank you for participating in this process. It's important and appreciated.
Good evening, I'm Dan Koprowski, from the St. Paul District Corps of Engineers. I look forward to hearing your comments as well, and thank you for coming out this evening. I'd like to emphasize that all of the comments you make will be considered as part of the permitting process.
Okay, so as we get started, just a few comments about what the process will be. The purpose of this meeting is to give the public an opportunity to speak, to provide information, comments, or evidence that will be considered in evaluating the SDEIS. If your name is selected to speak, or if you've seen your name as one of the first speakers earlier, you can be making your way down to sit in the front seats. As I finish my brief comments, we'll be going right into the commenting period. You can use up to 3 minutes if your name is chosen any way you wish. Know that the most effective comments will be specifically related to the SDEIS. From our perspective, in terms of facilitating the meeting, you can make that kind of comment in any way that you find to be most helpful to you. The second purpose is to create a public record. For that purpose, there's a stenographer here who will be typing what all the speakers say directly into the record. It is helpful for her if you could please speak clearly, spell difficult words, spell your last name for her when you're starting your comments. In addition, I Arrange Resources and Rehabilitation Board is recording tonight's meeting. There likely won't be time. I think we have around 170 names so far, am I counting right? Public speakers. Know that all comments that are received in any format will be receiving equal weight. You can go and speak with a stenographer who will type your comment into the record off past the other gym where the open house was. You can put written comments in the comment box. You can provide mailed or emailed comments up until May 13th. Also know that this is an information gathering meeting. If you would like discussions, please visit the open house, which will remain open until 10 o'clock tonight at the time of the meeting, about the time this meeting closes. What else? Did I put May? I got my own month. That was all on me. March. I'm just hoping for spring. And how do we not catch that? Thanks for asking. And also, to the one gentleman, I insisted the form was blue. That was in Duluth. The form is gray today, so little details. I apologize for that. Those cards will be kept so that we have a record of everyone who wanted to speak. We'll be choosing the names randomly. Also, the names are kept in case there's a need to seek clarification of something that you said. Go through the rules for the random selection. You need to be watching for your name on the screen. As see some people are sitting here already. The box next to your name on the spreadsheet that you'll see in a minute will be either pink or yellow. If you're highlighted pink, you go to the right side of the gym. And if you're yellow, you go to the left side of the gym, and there'll be a microphone there. Check in with one of the volunteers to make sure that you get set up. You must be present when your name comes up in order to make a comment. So please come down to the chairs. We know that some people don't speak for 3 minutes, so be ready to go as quickly as possible. Please do try to keep noise in the audience to a minimum so that we can move pretty quickly between the speakers. I also noticed there's a lot of signers. Whatever your sign is for, all I ask is that you're not raising high. Given the seating situation, I think it would be helpful just so everyone can see and hear clearly what the speakers are saying. Note that you will only speak once. Okay. If you would choose to give your time to someone else, just come up with them. Tell the volunteer that you'll be ceding your time to them, and then that person can speak. Okay? Only one person per up to 3 minute time period, so you can't do 2 speakers. If that person's name gets called again, then who you've ceded your time to, we'll ask you not to take a second turn. Okay? It's possible for those listening to be in a quick break. In that case, I'm going to call it pause and I'll break as quick as possible. Ask you if possible not to leave and come back, because that would significantly extend a 3-hour time frame that we have. Would you take a quick pause? We will not count that towards the total of 3 hours that we have reserved for the conference. Volunteers for good? All right. You will see a timer that will help you with the 3-minute time limits you're speaking. And we'll move to the first speaker who's ready. Daryl Balfout. Probably kind of towards the middle. You can face wherever you want to. Some people look down.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Daryl Balfout. I represent approximately 1,600
Okay, close to the mic. You gotta get close to the mic.
My name is Daryl Balfout. I represent approximately 1,600 union ironworkers in my regions. You know, a while back I was thinking around the area, around the country, how many small towns there are who would love to have a project like this built their small town to bring up their community, their schools, small businesses. And all of us who've had kids have to send them off somewhere else to go to work. Here's an opportunity we can have our kids stay right here, White Lakes, Aurora, the Iron Range, and get a job and stay here. I think that's very important. That's the PolyMet meetings in the past. CEO, John Cherry, Steve Ryan, Joe Scippione. I've talked to them many times. I've been to all their meetings. Not once has any of these guys ever said, and in this environmental impact, that we need to change our laws or lift our laws to allow them to do some things that they shouldn't be doing. I think they need to follow the laws 100% and make sure we have clean water, clean air for everyone. Like I said, not once has any of these guys ever said, we want to change these environmental laws, get this thing pushed through. I think they're outstanding people. I think they want a good project. And another thing I thought about quite a while ago is, at one of the meetings I heard 70% of our copper is imported in this country from other parts overseas. There is no environmental protection at all. Spewing crap in here and everything else. Here we got a company that's going to do it clean. We won't have to import this stuff no more. We can sell it right here in northern Minnesota. I guess that's all I had. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mari. You could probably do a better job than I will, but I'm going to try anyway. I'm a lifelong 4th-generation ranger. I'm now in my 32nd year as a local elected official, and the 20th year as the say that because I've represented the people of this area for many years now. In fact, I can't remember not representing them. And first of all, thank you all for putting this on. I mean, one of the things that I wanted to say is that I also spent 34 years as a United States steelworker. Retired, actually kicked out of Reserve Mining Company when they closed the gate doors there, and then ultimately retired from New York, worked for 5 mining companies, still kept the same lockers, they kept changing names there. But at any rate, I've reviewed the EIS, read most of it, and I've attended most, if not all, of every informational meeting that has been held on the range in Duluth and St. Paul. I have been to nearly every one of them. And as I've been to them, I've certainly become, I'm not a scientist, so I rely a lot on the scientific knowledge that we get from NRI, or all of those people that have taken the time out to try to find out, is this a good project? And among the scientists, I don't mean among the people that are against this project and do not have the scientific background. Maybe there's some that do. But to the scientists that have really looked into it, I think that I've developed a trust that this supplemental EIS, and the people that have worked on it, Commissioner Landmark, Supervisor Halter, and Colonel, we appreciate you being here. But I think that your offices have really worked to try to make this supplemental EIS, and as I read it, it says that this project is ready for permitting. That's what I saw. I hear detractors that tell me about 500 years of monitoring, et cetera, and you know, I was offered, I didn't want the clean water because I believe in clean water, but I was offered the 500 plus years, you know, and the 20 some years that this mine's going to be on, and I looked at myself and I thought to myself, you know, we started mining in Ely, Minnesota over 100 years ago. And that mine was going to, they probably, if they had environmentalists back then, I don't know if they did. If they did, they probably told them at that time that was going to be a 5-year mine in Ely. So, thank you.
Thank you. My name is Paul Turkey. I'm from Ely, Minnesota, and I'm very proud, especially tonight, to be an Iron Ranger. Because to be here, to be part of due process and democracy is extremely heartwarming and gratifying, I'm sure to all of us. And it speaks heartily to how seriously we're all taking this matter, because we need jobs, we need the water, we need the beautiful environment that we call home. And I'm very proud to be representing, I think, those issues that we all share in common here tonight. My wife Susie and I, as you may know, we operate a couple of businesses in Ely and have for some 30 years. We founded Wintergreen Northern Wear 30 years back, along with Wintergreen Dockside Lodge and White Iron Lake. Wintergreen Northern Wear was sold to the family 5 years ago, and sadly, has recently gone out of business. But I'm pleased to share with you tonight that we're hopeful of rebooting it next spring to bring those jobs back to our town, just like the jobs we're able to offer to our Dockside Lodge now. But tonight's issue is not about that. Of course, it's about our concerns about the PolyMet project and the EIS that we've all had a chance to review now. And I think we all agree that water, the purity of our water and the integrity of our lakes in the future is central to that issue. And my key concern in that SPIS, if we're relying on science, as our great Commissioner Mike Forth just shared with you, and I share with him that I'm relying on the science, I'm counting on that science to be right, because our future and the integrity of this ecosystem depends on that science. And I'm here to share with you, as many of you may know now, there are some significant flaws in the science in which the SPIS is based. Most prominently, I feel, are the graphs tables, particularly those, I might cite from the report, table 4.2.2-9, and others that compare the flow into the Partridge River with which they have projected through their computer modeling. And it is fatally flawed. And the DNR has acknowledged that. It is a significant, serious error. And how well this SPIS is going to give us a picture of what's going to become of the water quality in these lakes and streams in the future to come. The values used in the modeling significantly are at odds with the latest data from stream flows. It has been acknowledged by the DNR as a serious flaw. The modeling has failed, since it has failed to what is currently known, the known existing standards of being told, how could we possibly rely on the same computer model to predict what can happen in 200 or 500 years? It simply can't be done. And again, I think you agree that water quality issues are central to this issue. Furthermore, particularly disturbing to me is the fact that tribal scientists, as the Grand Portage Band and the Walk Fort Band, have been telling scientists working on this project for years that the groundwater data on the flowage of the Barton River is seriously flawed, that they're off. Nobody knows better what's going on in the groundwater than the tribal folks, and somehow their input has been disregarded right along about this. The scientists who are putting that modeling together got it wrong in the first SDIS. Now they've got it wrong again. How can we trust it and get it right the third go around? If we are rest assured that the water quality standards are to met,
Moving on to Walt Moe.
Hi, I'm Walt Moe. First, I want to thank everybody for the efforts they put up this SDEIS. I downloaded that into my computer. It was quite lengthy, all 2,169 pages of it. But searching the SDEIS, I have found no concrete actions being proposed to be taken in case of things going wrong at the PolyMet mine, causing irreparable harm to the waters of the Embarrassed and Partridge River watersheds and the surrounding thousands of acres around these watersheds. The mining operation is predicted to last 20 years, and the remediation efforts to last at least 200 years, more likely 500 years, or even into perpetuity. To me, this is a poor trade-off for the people of Minnesota. Murphy's Law states that if anything can go wrong, it will. Having spent my working life as an electrical engineer, dealing with making sure that if Murphy's Law comes true, which it will, in whatever we do, we must have fail-safe, triple redundancy backups to avoid catastrophic disasters. My questions are, how much monitoring is going to be required? For how long? How will it be handled? How quickly is a response going to occur? Who's going to make the decisions to curtail operation? And who's going to decide if operations are allowed to resume? As I understand the procedure, the above is to be spelled out in the actual permitting process, which I'm not sure will be subjected to the same scrutiny of the EIS. If it isn't, I would certainly like it to be. Again, I think that the approximately 300 jobs for 20 years versus 200 to 500 or more years of remediation is an extremely poor choice unless other alternatives can be explored. I don't think we're in a do or die situation yet, where we can't exist without mining these precious metals. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Paul Horsley from Ely. I just want to make a couple of comments. I saw the land exchange data, and what I see from real estate, I've been involved. I think of course there's done a great job for us. And other thing I wanted to say, we talked about wetlands here. I worked 30 years at mine. They came over to this Gilbert pit 6 miles away, and the government, in their infinite wisdom, they said, we can't cross the swamps that made the headwaters of the White River. We have to cross the river closer to where it's, where we can cross it with one bridge and not go across. Put a quarter mile extra in the distance to the mine we're all in the rock to, but at least we didn't disturb those headwaters for that river, and everybody knows that we don't want to have disturb those mosquito breeding grounds that don't let any mosquitoes breed if you can, and it's good for Minnesota. But the thing is that in that infinite wisdom for 25 years, each haul truck that gobbles 100 gallons of fuel a day, is going a half a mile farther than it had to, creating a greater carbon index. And ever needed to be. So when you're thinking about, the mining company has to pay for it, think of the environmental big picture. I think that's very important. I mean, yeah, maybe it's still the right decision, but I kind of question it when you burn so much carbon for that. The other thing I wanted to say is that when I worked at the mine, they were, digging big, getting the road out and had their dumps and stuff. And I always thought to myself, we got all this big equipment running around. Can't we put a little forethought into maybe when we get these pictures, put the dumps above it, and maybe design a ski hill in the future or a trout fishing pond, something that this land could be when the mine is gone into something that would be beneficial for the local economy. Put those kind of thoughts into your process of the EIS, and not just what's mine, where they're going to put it. Let's look at the big picture in the long run and see if we can do this very right and be better than we've ever been before. Thank you.
My name is Nancy Rafferty, and I'm referring my minutes to Mark Skelton.
Good evening, I'm Mark Skelton. I'm the mayor of White Lakes, and I'd like to begin by thanking the co-lead agencies, all the agencies that have gotten us to this point today, after 9 years of hard work. I can't stand before you today and speak on the expertise of mining precious metals. But I am glad I live in a state and a country that have the experts to do what they've done to get us to this point today. I do feel that I have some expertise to talk about the socioeconomics of this project. And I can start with a town about 5 miles from here called White Lakes. That was a town of the 50s, new technology in mining, and how they closed that plant in 2001. In 2001, they closed that plant. But what I'm here to talk about is not our city. I'm here to talk about the social economic impacts of this statement. They talk about us as a region. 9 communities, 3 counties. They talk about us as a region, which they should. And as a region, did you know that we have 23,000 less citizens than we had in 1980? We have lost 10% of our population in this region. 10%. When our state sports 30% increase in population. 30% increase versus the 10%. It's time to move forward. The social economic impacts, imagine, it is my hope that the powers to be will look at this and will weigh proportionately the social economic impacts to the science of this project. It is so important to us. Imagine if you will, 2 million man-hours of construction, $82 million of new federal, state, and local taxes, $232 million of direct wages and so forth, $330+ million a year in direct output, or the value of the metals coming out of the ground. That doesn't count the indirect, the $99 million in indirect wages, or the $182 million in indirect output. It's time to do this project right. It's time to do this project now, and it's time to do this project here. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Al Rudak, RUPECK, and I'm pleased to share my perspectives about PolyMet's planned mine, processing facility restart, and associated land exchange. I thank and have full confidence in the abilities of our state and federal agencies who are experts in their fields and well qualified to apply solid science in the development of the SBIS. See, I'm a professional chemical engineer licensed here in the state of Minnesota. I've taken the oath as an engineer to duly protect public health and welfare. I wear the stainless steel ring on my pinky of my working hand to remind me daily of the service oath. To use the science to serve humanity by using the best of Earth's precious wealth. And I've reviewed the SBIS, and I believe it's fully formed and well defines the current and proposed developments Its sophisticated modeling and engineered solutions proposed by the agencies and the company, in my professional judgment, will enable PolyMet to perform at or beyond the stringent state and federal requirements to protect water quality on all fronts. In fact, the overall project will reduce background concentrations of sulfates and not increase them, as well as reducing mercury, not increase them. Each of the proposed technologies, from advanced liners to reverse osmosis systems, are proven and reliable. No one can deny their applicability to perform, as they're used in countless applications at our region's landfills and state and county landfills, as reverse osmosis for water treatment, used in water treatment facilities in many cities, and also in many home drinking water systems. And in terms of the water quality modeling of the SDIS, it is very robust in my view. Groundwater and surface water modeling was run in 2,400 and 6,000 time periods of simulated projections using a wide range of assumptions in order to stress the analysis. Because of the effectiveness of these engineering controls planned and expected permit limits, I anticipate the real lifetime periods of active water treatment will be a mere fraction of the 200 or 500 years earlier. This company, this project, will always meet our stringent water standards, always. See, my family and I have called Aurora White's home for nearly a decade. While we currently reside in Esco, we own and enjoy property on Whitewater Reservoir right here in the Park River watershed. And as a former two-term Whitewater City Councilor, around the time when LPD flowed, I know firsthand how critical quality mining, maintenance, and spin-up jobs are in these range. They provide basic living essentials for hundreds of families. And I look forward to the prospect of job creation that this PolyMet project brings. And moreover, the high-quality metals to be produced represent important new and domestic sources of essential clean copper, nickel, and other precious metals that fuel modern life, including wind turbines, hybrid vehicles, and other modern necessities. Through the SDIS science and downstream permitting, we can have vital employment for our families while having open access to the cultural, scientific, and recreational treasures of our area. Thank you.
My name is Susan Shirky. I'm from Ely, Minnesota. Most of us will never work for a copper mine. However, most of us are in Minnesota anyway. However, all of us are taxpayers. I'm very concerned about the financial assurance in the SDIS. Who can ever figure out what the cost of the cleanup will be for 500 years? Who will pay this? What is the amount that could possibly be put forward to replace something that can never be replaced? Our clean water that we desperately need. Copper mining in a watershed does not seem to be a good idea. The proposed sulfide mine and tailings dump would pollute streams, wetlands, and drinking water for hundreds, if not thousands of years. I believe that issues that haven't been analyzed at all in the SDIS, like impacts on workers' health, be studied before the EIS is finalized. I request that common sense alternatives like putting miners under the permanent waste rock pile and the tailings piles be analyzed before the EIS can be finalized. I'm concerned that the high-value peatlands on the mine site are irreplaceable. The vast majority of wetlands mitigation is outside the Lake Superior Basin, and there is no plan to replace most of the indirectly affected wetlands. I'm concerned that the cumulative impacts of the PolyMet project and other existing and expanding mines would impair wild rice, fish, and aquatic ecosystems and violate the treaty rights of Indian tribes to hunt, fish, and gather in superior national forest lands ceded to the United States. I'm concerned that PolyMet's water and air pollution from mine pits, waste rock and tailing piles, and PolyMet's excavation and changing hydrology in wetlands would increase mercury loading to wetlands and streams and increase mercury bioaccumulation in fish, putting human health at risk. I'm concerned that PolyMet's discharge would increase carcinogenic arsenic in White Lake's drinking water and release arsenic, lead, and manganese, chemicals that impair brain function, into the groundwater. I'm concerned that PolyMet's water pollution from the permanent mine site waste rock pile would would need treatment for at least 200 years, and pollution from the tailings piles would require treatment for at least 500 years. Pollution seeping out of the pits would continue in perpetuity forever. Who is going to pay for this, and how can we ever replace our precious metal? I am not against iron ore mining, but capital mining does not seem to be a reasonable thing in the watershed in North America.
Jeff? Are you Jack? All right.
I'm Jack Buda from Gilbert. My background is I got 32 years with the FAA and about 9 years with the St. Louis County Planning and Controlling. I chaired the Planning Commission for 3 years, and I was involved a lot. We were involved a lot with the clean water and sewer systems, and we were very concerned about it. But having said that, I'm still just a layman like you people are in the audience. We have to depend on the Corps of Engineers, the DNR, and the U.S. Forest Service for our information. We're paying them. They're all experts. They did all the research on this for this EIS, and we have to depend on the information that they're providing us. Opinions are fine. We heard a lot of opinions in Duluth the other day, and we're going to hear opinions here tonight. Opinions are fine as long as they're based on facts. But a lot of times we have opinions that are based on emotion, and they are not valid in the cases that are confronting us tonight with this EIS and the mining and the PolyMet. World War II would have probably turned out a lot different had we not have the mining here on the ring for the iron ore. We all know a lot of the iron ore for fighting World War II was provided by the iron men. Who would ever thought that we would have been planting trout, probably the most sensitive species of fish, in the pits where we had extracted all the iron ore? Who knows what's going to happen? What we can do? Who knows what we can do with the area that has been extracted with that PolyMet? We can put PolyMet through a lot of hoops. We make them. We put them through a lot more than the average corporation would ever think of going through. The cost, the frustration, and the delays are unbelievable. I can't imagine 9 years what they've gone through trying to get this process forward. Our schools, our streets, our roads, we need something, we need a tax base so we can provide an education for our kids. How are we going to provide an education for our kids for schools if we're going to depend on the canoeists in the boundary waters, fishing picking rice and shooting ducks? It isn't going to happen. We have to have a tax base, and that's money. We can't build schools with the money that we get with rice and canoeing. So I just want to tell you people that listen to the facts. Forget about the opinions, and let's move forward. I'm a full supporter of PolyMet's project.
Hello, I'm Mark Easy, and I'm going to give my time up to Representative David Bill.
Thank you very much, Howard. Tonight I'm here representing the views and opinions of the Iron Range delegation of legislators. The Iron Range delegation of legislators encompass virtually 100% representation of all ferrous and non-ferrous metals in the state of Minnesota. And I'm here to tell you that Representative Ritovich, Representative Mansell, Representative Moline, Representative Metza, Senator Saxoff, Senator Thomasoni, and Senator Bach and I all have a position that we are here, and it is our job to do the very best that we can for you folks and the taxpayers of this entire state to add value to the natural resources that we have, whether they be ferrous and non-ferrous, wood, tourism, the water, the use of the water. That is our principal job, and that's what we strive for every single day and every single year. We are confident, all of us, that this process will move forward
based on data-driven outcomes, and that the emotions of the project will be set aside so that those outcomes can prevail and lead this project either to happen or not to happen. So, in short and in closing, first I'd like to thank the former members of the legislature that are here tonight, Rubina and Baggage, and Senator Dicklage. I know that they feel similar, not exactly the same. But we are here tonight, as a group, to tell you people that we unilaterally and unequivocally support the development of non-ferrous minerals in Minnesota, until such time it is proven by the data-driven outcomes that it cannot be done. And then we are unilaterally against it, until such time that we can prove that it is feasible environmentally and financially. That is our position. We've held that position the entire time this project has gone on for 9 years, and I hope that people can understand that and embrace that as we move forward with this project. Thank you very much.
My undead last night worked with the railroad and brought the ore to the ships. My dad was turned away from the railroad to harvest. Anyway, he was turned away at the gate when he went to talk to the union organizers. He was never given a berth and he never went back to work. The PolyMet, I'm a writer and I'm a teacher. PolyMet SDIS is not a plan. It's an experiment. Minnesota's clean water at risk forever. SDIS makes predictions, but doesn't provide the basic information to support those predictions. These questions are not answered. How much polluted wastewater is going back and forth between miles and pipes? What is the volume of wastewater in the tailings and the processing residue? Just how polluted is the wastewater in waste rock piles, pits, sump ponds, tailings basins, and the hydrometallic wastewater? These answers are missing. Without this basic information, we can't estimate what would happen if all that's all perfect assumptions, not based on anything agreed, don't come true. The SDEIS admits that this is an experiment. On page after page it says that in the event of modeling shows violations of water quality, PolyMet will, quote, adaptively manage the problem. This SDIS is not adequate. To be adequate, we must reveal wastewater volumes and pollutant levels at every step, and we must have facilities from day one to meet standards. Once pollution reaches groundwater, it will be too late to fix. It will affect the partners, the forests, it will affect the whole entire St. Louis watershed. The estuary is already catching those fish. It will make those fish even more polluted.
Hi, I'm David Schley, and I pass my time to Matthew Tyler.
Hello, Matt Tyler, Tyler. I live in Finland, Minnesota, and I want to thank all my union brothers and sisters for coming out tonight. I see a lot of folks in the audience. Although I'm not currently in a union, I grew up in a union family, and I know that union wages won't pay for my college. And I've got a degree in natural resources and forestry, and so I'm reasonably scientifically literate. And I agree with a lot of what's been said here, David Gill and others, that we really should be paying attention to the data. And we have to make decisions based on data, not on emotion. I think that's sound, but having read through this, I've seen a lot of things that are pretty questionable. And I have friends that are professional hydrogeologists that clean up EPA Superfund sites, and I've looked at it with them, and they've said, well, you know, there's not enough wells here, they didn't do this right, they didn't do... There's a number of things they pointed out. And one thing I want to focus on is that something that's not been talked about is that this SDIS, if you actually work through it, didn't have any analysis of worker safety in there. Now, in a lot of other SDISs for other projects, like when they redid the nuclear plant down in Monticello, they had that in there. When they've done environmental cleanup cases from Chevron, they looked at worker safety. Now, they looked at what might happen to residents of White Lakes, but they haven't actually looked at worker safety in here, and I think that's pretty grossly inadequate. I think also we know that that study came out from the U of M recently about mesothelioma and so forth, and we know that a lot of folks on the range who worked in the mines got mesothelioma about 3 times more often than average folks. And I lived near Silver Bay, and I've had a lot of friends that have worked in the mines over the years, and I've seen some people die of that or from strokes or heart attacks. And so I think we have to look at this critically, and one of the reasons they might not have put worker safety in there is because their own data in SDIS page 5, 439 to 438 to 439 points out that about 9% of the ore tailings and process water have those asbestos-like fibers in them. And, they didn't really look at what's that going to do to folks in the plant. They didn't really look at what the air treatment mechanisms are going to be. So I think before we sign up on this, we should really think critically about that, and we should be skeptical because, the companies aren't always right. They don't always honor your pensions. They don't always admit to stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Helpful speakers, just come up as soon as you can. While Diane's walking up, I'll mention that number 15, Al Riddick, had spoken when somebody ceded their time to him. So just know Kevin Cohn, that you'll go, or Jerry Essex, excuse me, you'll go right after John Hunter, just in terms of coming down.
Hi. I'm Dave Sale, Dr. Dave Sale. I'm currently residing in Mountain Mayor, Minnesota. This is an introduction to the medical and pharmaceutical applications of these local metals. It's going to include copper, nickel, platinum, palladium, gold, and some other isolated isotopes. First off, copper we see as a pharmacological category as a trace element. We see it in over-the-counter supplementation. We see it in total prevention nutrition, and most importantly, is going to be the antibacterial properties of copper has, because it is much cheaper than silver, yet acts just like it. Along with that, nickel is very similar to stainless steel, and it is a durable, stain-resistant surface. It's easily cleaned. We use this quite a bit within the hospital setting and other areas of healthcare. We also see it implemented in a number of our instrumentation, especially in surgical suites, and it's also used in drug-related and/or bare metal stents after someone had a coronary event. Anyone had a heart attack, probably got a stent. Okay? That's what some of these metals are going to be used for. Platinum. Anything with a platinum on the end of the molecular name is going to have a platinum molecule attached to it. We use these as far as anti-cancer agents out with the business. We have 3 of these available on the market as pharmaceuticals: cisplatin, carboplatin, oxaliplatin. We got one in phase 2 clinical trials, saxaplatin. If anyone has had cancer before, known someone has had cancer before, they more than likely have had one of these drugs, or at least it was considered part of the drug regimen. Some of the indications include, but are not limited to, bladder, ovarian, testicular, colorectal, cervical, endometrial, head and neck, mesothelioma, lung, non-Hodgkin's, etc. Palladium. Palladium is a radiopharmaceutical. We implant these into the prostate. It's an alternative to a prostatectomy removal of the prostate. And also to anyone who's diabetic or knows someone who's diabetic, this is present in their electrodes in the blood glucose meter. This results in electron flow that is measurable and directly proportional to the concentration of glucose in the blood, resulting in quick and accurate measurements for which we are familiar with today. Now, in conclusion, we know these metals are not readily available on the surface, but we need to extract them from the ground, and we need to do this to maintain the current manufacturing of these drugs and these products. Also to foster future pharmaceutical manufacturing and or development of drugs, advance the practice of medicine, and to treat, in an effort to treat cancer, control infection, and diagnose and monitor the pathophysiology of affected individuals. And I will say one thing about statistics. There is lies, damn lies, and statistics. So,
My name's John Bunker. I'm 64. I work at Delta Airlines. And if you need a job, you perform at Delta or hired continually there. I'm one of the best press officers, actually the best press office, according to the CPO of Delta that we have. So we'll be here for a long time. My grandmother worked in the mines, and my great uncle shot deer year-round and had fish and got hardwood for moonshine by county land. And life was good, but my family's moved away. My siblings are gone. My kids may also move away, but I'll be darned if I want my kids to work on a 500-acre, 20-story slate pile, super fun, toxic waste site straddling the continental divide, a wetland surrounded by rivers over an aquifer at the headwaters of the St. Louis River Basin. I think this project is going to fail for several reasons. One is it's like citing nuclear waste out in your backyard. I mean, why would we use this? Two, the SPIS, like, what's it going to pay? Everybody likes the pork, but we don't apply for some underlying assumptions. And thirdly, there's too many people that are going to sue, I think. The two Indian tribes, I believe, may sue. The people downstream scared about their wells. The environment groups may sue. One of the problems, for example, is PNR should require PolyMet to buy, not lease, the mineral rights for the west pit. So that can be backfilled from that 20-story tailing pile. And so it can be underwater then when the financial assurance package collapses at some point. And secondly, plastic liners leak. This is one of the assumptions the EIS makes. They don't make while they do. Faulty heat sealing of seams, fluid accumulation can push fluid down. Even if there's not any holes, it can push it through the membranes. There's bumps and pressure points that cause problems. And the peak pollution won't happen in this sulfur mining for 500 years. And then there's a downside to the bell curve after that. So it's in perpetuity, basically. This brings up the most bizarre assumption of the EIS. You cannot guarantee financial instruments for 500 years or 1,000 years in perpetuity. It's going to cost $3.5 million to $6 million a year for 2 water treatment plants. That comes out to $1.5 to $3 billion over 500 years and 1,000 years. You need a whole new EIS after PolyMet pops up the final financial assurance package at the 11th hour. They're thinking about roughly $200 million. That's not going to make, and we may have to cut corners there. But eventually the fund will fail, the trees will grow to the plastic, sulfuric acid, and heavy metals will fill the rivers. But right now we're in a runaway global warming climate cycle. We have a $41 billion disaster. And warm air is upsetting the polar vortex. That's why the cold air is breaking out in our backyards. The Arctic will be ice-free in the summer in a couple of years. Methane is already blowing up in the swamps, the lakes, and the shallow seas, which is 70 times worse than warming gas and carbon dioxide, 70 times, not percent. Insurance companies and economies will fail, and we will be trying to fish and dredge out these polluted rivers the hard way.
Someone seated to him already, so Jerry.
Hi, my name is Jerry Aston from Aurora. I'm pleased to introduce Mr. Jim Brewer.
My name is Jim Houlihan. I live in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, with my family. I'm the co-owner of the Industrial Lubricant Company, a mine supply company, and the former mayor of Grand Rapids, 100 years ago, former mayor of Grand Rapids. A couple of comments. I offer first that we are all here tonight with the very same interests. That is, that we are all environmentalists and all need to earn a living and strive to feed our families, provide housing and education for our children, and to live in safe and clean communities. our need to enjoy and to be renewed by being in the outdoors and in the boundary waters is not in conflict with our need to earn a living. By taking even better care of our natural resources and by being even better stewards of our environment, we are able to take even better care of our families. I add my urging to you that this review ought to be about and thinking, not or thinking. Like many of my neighbors, I own a snowmobile and I own a canoe. I'm a stockholder in PolyMet and I'm a stakeholder in northern Minnesota. PolyMet's requests and their operation is aligned with our broader community interests. Next, opportunity. We constantly read in today's newspapers about the growing disparity of income and wealth, the divide between the haves and the have-nots. The key indicators for the state are staggering compared to northern Minnesota. On indicators like percent living in poverty, median household income, and percent working, ages between 60 and 64, as reported by the Wilder Foundation, are stark. For example, percent living in poverty, statewide, 11%, St. Louis County, 15%. PolyMet would not be a silver bullet, but would be an opportunity for those of us in northern Minnesota to strive to earn a living like those in the rest of the state. Based on the mining industry's record of environmental improvement over the years and process changes and all of our aligned interests in both living here and working here, we should move forward with confidence that all members of our community, both industry and environmental communities, will operate and can support PolyMet in a responsible and ever-improving manner. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your and North Shore mining. The minerals mined at PolyMet will be used for electrical components, cell phones, computers, and catalytic converters, products critical to our lives. Mining has a long history in our region. Because of this history, significant support exists. The regulatory framework, the people and technical expertise, the physical and community infrastructure, all there to safely mine copper nickel. For these reasons, there's no better place in the world to mine copper nickel than right here. I support the PolyMet project. So often the response to opportunities and projects like this is not in my backyard. I find it very refreshing to hear many of you speak to, yes, in my backyard. And why we can do that is because we know we can do it well. Thanks.
I'm Scott Money from Ely, and I'm using my time with Bob Carlson also.
My name is Bob Carlson, I'm from Ely. I'd like to address wild rice. I started picking wild rice in 1963. I think I'm familiar with all the major rice beds in northern Minnesota and many of the small little rice beds. I went through the draft statement. I read everything that I could read on wild rice. And I think that the ENR and the other people involved did a really thorough job in the research on wild rice. Several comments I got about that. The areas downstream of the PolyMet project have such a tiny bit of wild rice that I don't think it's really an issue. There's not a bed of rice down there that's large enough to harvest any rice on. And
rice down there. It's something that really went haywire with the wild rice. We've got a lot of lakes in this area that historically didn't have rice. Some examples are Stone Lake near White Lakes. Seven Beavers. Stone Lake's got more than 100 acres of rice. Seven Beavers has got 400 or 500 acres. Those were seeded by the Forest Service in the 1970s, and they've got good crops of wild rice right now. There's a whole bunch more, and I know a bunch of them that were seeded. Some by the DNR, which are in the process right now of trying to seed some. So that would mitigate any damage should something happen. A couple other comments on this. They've got Hay Lake listed as a control site, for comparison to the PolyMet project. I think that's a poor lake for a number of reasons. I picked rice in that lake a number of years starting in the 60s. Sulfate levels. They checked the sulfate downstream of this PolyMet site in a number of places. Two of the places where they checked sulfate levels were much higher than the 10 parts per million. One was 17 point something, another one was in the 30s. So it makes me wonder if the DNR and maybe our legislators should look at raising that 10 part per million sulfate level, because rice is growing pretty darn good right now when the levels are higher. I guess the last thing I'd like to say is that the band members in the 1854 treaty area have concerns about wild rice, but I think their concerns are really unfounded due to all these other lakes that have been planted that historically didn't have rice. Thank you.
A little closer to the mic.
I worked in several of the mines, and in the 70s, I had the privilege of working on PolyMet site, which was Erie Mining Company. And it's an interesting history that in my golden years, my lifetime, I spent a lot of time working with environmental organizations, and I worked with Blueberry Festival in Ely. And perhaps some people here have stopped by and talked to me, and there are a few that agree with me, and one especially stuck in my mind. He was a water plant operator that worked on the Duncan site. They had a water treatment plant on that site to clean up the water before it ran into First Lake, and they eliminated his job. They shut down that water treatment plant, which was meeting Minnesota's discharge standards, and they went to a constructed wetland, which was cheaper to operate, and did not consistently meet Minnesota's discharge standards. As a matter of fact, there's various requests in right now for the Duncan site. And just as recently, we've had another request for variance. We've heard so much about Minnesota's stringent environmental regulations. There's a request for a variance in right now on PolyMet's leaking tailings pond over here. It's leaking 2.9 million gallons a day. Now that plant shut down in 2001. They have a very good opportunity to clean it up. I think it's time they started cleaning up their mine sites and quit granting variances. We've also heard mention of socioeconomic effects, and I think once again the environmental impact statement should do the science. We've heard people talk about 2,000 pages of science at EIS, and we've heard talk about socioeconomic effects. The studies are out there. If you build your economy on a mining industry, on the average, in the United States of America, you have a lousier economy than people that build their economies on nothing but the intellectual horsepower of their residents. We're going to be trapped in this boom and bust economy until we finally accept that we are a talented people up here. We're going to have to build our economy on the talents of our people instead of on stripping our assets, which are going to be shipped overseas. They aren't going to be building windmills in our backyard. We've already got a contract outstanding with Glencore. There's only half a dozen places on earth that process and platinum blue minerals. They're headed out of our country. So with that, I'd say we should start working now on the future of our children, give them something besides life. Thank you.
I'm Gene Bass. I live in Knife River, Minnesota. I represent myself. And I moved up to Knife River, North Shore area in 1975 because I came from Minneapolis up here almost every single weekend. I love this area. I do support the PolyMet project. The reason that I think that the PolyMet project will be a good project and they'll do what they say they're going to do, Minnesota has some of the strongest regulating bodies anywhere in the world. Do I trust PolyMet? No. PolyMet would have to build a relationship with me just as any of you would before I would trust me. So I'm depending on these regulatory agencies to do their job. One of the other reasons I think PolyMet will do this is because they're going to spend between $400 million and $500 million before they make a nickel. If they don't do their environmental work, they will be shut down. And somebody's going to lose $400 million or someplace along that. Another reason I think they will do their job is because there are 4 or 5 other projects similar to this that will be looking at PolyMet, and if they don't do it, those projects won't happen. The environmental area that's impacted, I think it will end up being cleaner simply because what PolyMet is required to do to help clean up the pollution that's already here. It's been mentioned a couple of times about if this project were built in China, all you got to do is watch your TV about once a week and find out you can't see a block in China. They don't care in China. It's all about money. I want to thank the people who are considered the real environmentalists, although I consider myself a real environmentalist, because they have made this project so much better. And they are another reason I believe it will be successful, because they're not going to quit. They're going to keep watching this. One of the other big quality of life issues is a living wage. And living wages support all the infrastructure below them, all the service jobs, all our hardware stores, all our garages. Thank you very much.
John Field, FTPO. For 22 years, I resided on a 2.5-acre lot, a big sturgeon lake inside Lake Minnesota. I draw my drinking water from a well 30 minutes from the proposed plant site. I'm the former mayor of the city of Duluth, former giving city administrator, and a longtime advocate of job creation in East Minnesota. But more importantly, I'm a father of 8 and a grandfather of 9. Unfortunately, none of whom live on the Iron Range. A mechanical engineer, a biomedical engineer, an attorney, 2 healthcare professionals, a business degree graduate, a publisher, and a law enforcement officer that have been well educated to unfortunately be employed elsewhere. Over 30+ years, I've participated in many processes such as this. I've heard advocates and critics that cite opinions as fact when it suits them. Last week, I attended a previous hearing in Duluth and listened to testimony that I respectfully acknowledge was very long and biased conclusion, very short and silence. I heard an individual ascribe stupidity to anyone that wanted to agree with the issuance of a permit to proceed, not because the facts or the science was wrong, but because the conclusion was wrong. From her perspective, she did not agree. The point of this EIS procedure, as I come to understand, is to gather facts and base a permitting decision on the best science and a criteria that does not inhibit the project, but in fact guides it. I've worked on many job creation and community improvement projects in my time, creating many hundreds of jobs and working for Minnesota. A paper plant, a drill plant, hotels, road freeway projects, apartment buildings, college expansions, commercial projects, tourism projects, bike paths, airport projects, industrial projects, all of those projects involve well-meaning, dedicated community advocates, investors, and elected officials. But the most consistent elements in those projects is the sense of community improvement and a desire to leave the area better than what became mentioned. More jobs, more investment, cleaner water, a better environment, more opportunities, and a better life for our children and grandchildren. My whole point tonight is to speak in favor of moving the PolyMet project forward and to advocate based on the science and the facts that can make this project viable and not be deterred by well-funded opponents that are ironically funded, in some cases, by the wealth created by the very industry they now claim to impose. Opponents who coincidentally have the very same personal environmental footprint that demands these metals to service their cell phones, clean technology vehicles, etc., almost all of which currently comes from third world providers with no environmental oversight, ends up negatively affecting our local environment on a long-distance basis. Terms like financial assurance and 200 remodeling are misstating the true nature of the project and are meant to be a distraction away from the orderly analysis where it needed. This is not to say that those issues will not be addressed, because they will, but as a factual resolution as the law prescribes. Finally, we live in the environment that this plant will operate in. We are not going to advocate for the project that produces a very long
My name is Mike Geisdorf, and I'm from Aurora. I fully support the science behind the SBIS, and I believe it does address the environmental concerns of the people. Civilized societies advance because the needs of subsistence living was the mother of invention, the outcome of which are today's modern conveniences. My question to humanities are these: when to mine? Modern medicine, we've heard the doctors speak. Modern medicine has revolutionized human life, allowing us in just 100 years to move from subsistence life expectancy of some 40 years to soon approaching 100 years, having mapped the human genome because someone said when was now, by utilizing our natural resources like copper, nickel, platinum, and palladium. Modern transportation has allowed mankind in that same 100 years to go from horse and carriage to now leave Aurora, Minnesota, and be in Beijing, China, and put our head down that night and go to bed. All because of someone saying when was now by utilizing our natural resources like copper, nickel, platinum, and palladium. Modern communication, which we all have over here, and I see a lot of you guys all the antis out of this. Modern communication has advanced in the last 100 years from hearing news from weeks ago in the newsprint to now receive instantaneous communications from around the world and in Beijing, China, of unchecked pollution. Because somebody said when was now, utilizing our natural resources like copper, nickel, platinum, palladium. Modern electrical systems have made in that same 100 years the life of a common man equal to the wealthiest man amongst us, giving us all the same modern necessities due to all the things I've already mentioned, but also due to central heat, air conditioning, modern water systems, modern sewer systems, which we need. Because someone said when was now, by utilizing our natural resources like copper, nickel, platinum, and palladium. Modern scientific advances of 100 years ago began having discovered and begun mastering entropy, electromagnetism, X-rays, radioactivity, special relativity, quantum physics. And now we're actually sending probes out of our solar system, doing scientific experiments on Mars, discovering the Higgs boson and utilizing superconductivity because someone said now was the time by utilizing our natural resources like copper, nickel, platinum, and palladium. We talk about sustainability, but we forget about responsibility. Let me ask you, Anthony, this. Where to mine? You all utilize the same modern inventions the rest of us do. Which third world mine and where do you want your copper nickel coming from? The Norilsk mines in Russia? The South African mines? The Chilean mines? The Chinese mines? There's limited choices. Sustainability comes with responsibility, and here in Minnesota in our time with the best global agency in the world.
Minnesota, and the Twin Ports of Duluth Superior. We employ over 700 full-time union employees in the construction business across northern Minnesota. I was born the grandson of Finnish immigrants, like so many others, at the White Community Hospital here in Aurora. My parents raised 6 children in White Lakes and a draftsman wage in Erie mining company. The town was prosperous and bustling, with schools and churches bursting at the seams. There were 100 kids on every block of town. We had a storybook childhood filled with our great memories, and all the neighboring towns were the same for generations. This was our way of life. Our immigrant parents and grandparents worked at the mine, at the power plant, on the railroad, construction, grocery stores, coffee shops, restaurants, drugstores, movie theaters, auto dealerships, logging, trucking, all sorts of other businesses. This was our way of life. We all spent time hunting, fishing, trapping, skiing, shooting, biking, hiking, snowmobiling, camping, swimming, water skiing, and boating. And the list goes on. We were good stewards of the environment. Our communities established campgrounds and parks, preservation areas, ski hills and trails, sanctuaries and other scenic places. We were and are good stewards of the environment. In 2001, Erie Mining Company closed its doors. The east end of the range began to suffer almost immediately. The darkest days were upon us. It was not a good time for families, and the human suffering began. Unemployment, bankruptcies, business closures, and all sorts of personal tragedies associated with unemployment and fellow residents. It's time to turn this around. We have the opportunity to revitalize northern Minnesota with the promise of good-paying jobs. We have done our homework, and science is on the side of progress and on the side of responsible environmental stewardship. We have the opportunity at non-ferrous mining and PolyMet to demonstrate to the world the type of people we are in northern Minnesota. Hardworking, thoughtful, and caring folks who would never harm the land we love so dearly. Every job is a family. Every job is a family. Don't forget it. I would like to thank all the agencies who are working on this project, who clearly understand the science behind the project, and who deal in fact and not fiction. I'd like to thank all of the elected officials who wholeheartedly back this project. I'd like to thank all of those who came out in support of this great project in Duluth last week and tonight. And finally, I would like to thank PolyMet for their hard work and determination on behalf of the folks of the Iron Range, and we pray for your success. Thank you.
I'm a longtime member here in northern Minnesota. I belong to GPM Incorporated. We have a number of our guys here supporting this project. I want to thank the Army Corps of Engineering, the Department of Natural Resources, and there's another one in there I don't. I want to thank you for your due diligence in this project because this is very important to us. I was going to come up here and talk about financial insurance as it relates to what PolyMet has to do to get this project off the ground. I'm going to do that in a little different way, and I'm going to ask a couple guys to stand up. One of them is Bill Moraski. Bill, can you stand up? Adam Christensen. And David Hughes. You stand up? This is my vision. Bill, please don't stay standing. This is my vision of financial assurance. Number one, I do have to point out it's amazing how Bill at 75 looks younger than Dave. I wanted to point that out. Here's what financial assurance looks like to me. I called on Bill 25 years ago, and I probably haven't seen Bill in 20 years. Adam, my son up here, will be calling on Dave, and you could replace any one of us with 20, 30, 40 other vendors that are here tonight. And it's the same process. It's the process that financial assurance is that the Iron Range is evolving. Taconite is always going to be here, but we have the opportunity with PolyMet to do something completely different and to take that next step in the evolution of mining. We support PolyMet 100%. We thank you for the commitment that you've done in good science in preparing them for this project. So thank you, and thank PolyMet for being a part of this.
My name is Bud Stone. I am the president of the Grand Rapids Area Chamber of Commerce. Our chamber has had a formal resolution in place supporting the PolyMet project since August of 2007. The reasons that we passed that resolution were varied, but include the things that have already been involved, like positive economic impact, jobs, tax revenue for the state of Minnesota, and funding for schools. Now, some of those opposed to the project talk about the long-term effects of the project in a negative tone, but we don't see it that way. They also talk about unproven processes that might not be perfect and how they don't trust the agencies that are competing for the project. During the creation of the BIS, and that's the EIS, hundreds of smart people from these agencies gave their input based on what we call best available technology. Tomorrow's best available technology will be entirely different than today's. Just as smartphones evolved from two tin cans and pieces of string between them, mining as we know it today will change to be smarter. Just as high-tech transportation evolved from Model T, will develop advanced ways to protect our environment from things we don't even know about today. Just as we have developed ways to scrub mercury and carbon from power plant emissions, we'll also find new ways to prevent the pollution and clean up old pollution. You know, questioning the way we do things is beneficial, as this leads to new and better ways to do. It's always been that way. Today, the world needs the precious metals that we have under our feet. Tomorrow, the world may need something else. But for now, we have the resources to advance civilization down the path that we know best, using our best available technology, which is far superior to anywhere else in the world. 50 years ago, we would not have even been talking about the Polymet project as it is proposed today. That's because we weren't smart enough. 50 years from now, the things that people are concerned about today will no longer be relevant, as we will have new tools, new knowledge to deal with. We believe that this project will be done environmentally responsibly, and that in the future, it's going to get even easier. In closing, I'd like to point out that, you know, if you use a computer, cell phone, or drive a car or bicycle, use this microphone and the amplifiers and the speakers in the room to have your voice heard. You're supporting the mining industries and specifically copper and nickel mining. Personally, I'm glad that we have a state policy that calls for responsible extraction of our mineral resources and strong laws and processes in place to ensure that we protect the people and the environment when we mine. We support the draft EIS and the supplemental draft EIS and believe that it provides a sound foundation for the company to seek and obtain the needed permits to operate. Thank you.
Just 1 minute, we're going to change stenographers.
Ask you either or question when you're seeing this.
I teach at Massachusetts and I'm very proud to be president of the co-president of the Massachusetts Teachers Union Education Minnesota, 5. I enjoy the natural beauty of the state and believe mine can coexist. I want to talk to you tonight about how the PolyMet project will make a huge positive impact for our schools. It's estimated that PolyMet will pay $15 million in state taxes annually once mining begins. $6 million of those dollars are considered an occupational tax, which is distributed statewide. 40% of the $6 million will go directly to the elementary and secondary education statewide fund. That means $2.4 million more than our school coffers. This money will help provide more programs for our schools, more technology for our schools, and ultimately more opportunities for the children once they graduate. $7 million of the $15 million in state taxes is a net proceeds tax. It will be distributed locally. 20% of that pie, or $1.4 million, goes directly to schools in northeastern Minnesota. 10%, or $700,000, will go to the northeastern school district. Take each of those numbers times 20, because the mine is being permitted to operate for 20 years, and you get some even more staggering numbers. $48 million for schools statewide. $28 million for schools in northeastern Minnesota. $14 million for schools in the Northeast Range School District. I'll do a little bit more math for you and add those numbers up. That's $90 million for a total of nearly $1 billion more for our schools in Minnesota. We know that Minnesota has some of the strictest environmental standards in the nation. We know that state and federal regulators have looked at this project from all angles and have published a comprehensive document that shows exactly how the mine will operate. We know that the mine can operate safely and that PolyMet has committed to monitoring and treating the water for as long as need be. What's the decision? This mine will be safe. It will generate great income for the local workforce. And as I've outlined in detail above, it will have a tremendous positive impact on our schools, on our children for decades to come.
This is the spec. I'm Jay Damon. I'm from Aurora. I'm part of a small family business that's been on the range for 30 years. Thank you to the DNR and federal agencies that are here allowing us to talk about this. Reading through the supplemental draft environmental impact study, it's very complicated and expensive document. I'm convinced it takes an experienced environmental engineer versus permitting to fully understand and appreciate it. I will admit that I'm not one of those people. That being said, I believe we have to put our trust in the experienced scientists and engineers of the lead agencies to determine if this mining project can be done safely. If this project can meet the environmental and financial requirements, then we must allow PolyMet to move forward with this project. Not doing so would be injustice to the people of Minnesota who are on the Iron Ring, as we have one of the world's largest deposits of strategic metals. I believe we have the technology and experience to move forward with this project. Copper and nickel mining has been going on for hundreds of years. We know what the dangers are, and we know how to avoid them. Our regulatory agencies are staffed with experienced, competent professionals who are some of the best and brightest in our country that has to offer. We need to put our trust in them. We keep hearing that in Minnesota,
You're going to be trading 20 years of jobs for 500 years of wastewater treatment, or even 1,000 years. I would like to ask the DNR to make an official statement as to whether or not the stream of 500 years of required wastewater treatment post-closure in the SBIS is in the SBIS, or is it not. I feel many people are unsure about this issue. This issue needs to be put to rest for the sake of proper reporting to the public. The financial risk of moving forward with this project does not lay on the taxpayer's shoulders, it lays on PolyMet. PolyMet, before mining begins, funds must be set aside to cover the entire cost of closure and reclamation. The Minnesota DNR determines the amount to be set aside, and the company does not get the funds back until all closure and reclamation is complete. I don't know anybody on the range who does not care about this project being done right and safe. We care not only for jobs this project will provide, but we care about protecting the environment as well. This is our backyard. We don't want to damage it. Those saying we need to choose between jobs or environment are presenting a false choice. We can have both.
I was born and raised in International Falls. I currently reside and work in the Grand Rapids, Minnesota, where my Glacier National Park at my doorstep. This national park was not formed without its own controversy in the 60s and 70s. And the establishment of the park meant for an expansion of federal land protection in northern Minnesota and a reduction in private woodland for mixed-use recreation, hunting, and folklore. But the national park ultimately was able to coexist with the paper industry and was partially enabled by a land exchange between state, county, federal, and paper. This land exchange my grandfather was a part of as woodlands manager for the mill in making that happen. I reviewed the land exchange proposed to the SBIS between the U.S. Forest Service and PolyMet and believe this is a smart move for our region. As detailed in the SBIS, the land exchange proposes a transfer of the surface rights of 6,650 acres of federal land that is landlocked by neighboring private ownership and basically inaccessible for public use to PolyMet for the mine operation in exchange for up to 6,722 acres located within the management area of the U.S. Forest Service. The lands of the U.S. Forest Service will gain a higher recreational value, while the lands for PolyMet unite the ownership of the subsurface mineral rights with the surface rights. I believe this is a win-win for our region that enables enhanced recreational opportunities for the public while enabling the extraction of minerals in an environmentally sound manner. This is a good deal for Minnesotans and our country. I fully support it, and thank you for their work.
Dave Dillon, my husband's still LONG, from Aurora, Minnesota. I was a mayor in Aurora for several years, and water resources are dear to our hearts. I have an operating engineer of 49 and also a business representative. I am speaking today for the Iron Range Building and Trades, which consists of 17 trades with 6,000 plus members in this region alone. We support the state and federal agencies document that has analyzed the PolyMet project thoroughly. This is not just about construction jobs in building this project. It's also about the long-term jobs to run the plant, as well as the spin-off jobs and positive effects to our area communities. I've seen this east end of the range deteriorate from the time when I was in high school to where it is today. This region definitely needs this project. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dennis Perka. I was born and raised in McKinley, Minnesota. The only reason I'm here is because my father raised 8 children on a miner's salary in a 3-bedroom house. We didn't kill each other. We've all gone on to successful careers and lives here. I'm fully behind this project because I work for a company. I'm an independent sales rep, and a lot of my friends and business associates are here tonight. I'd just like to say thank you for all the support they give me. I could raise my children. They're going on to bigger and better things. I want to stay here. I've just passed a 20-year milestone for the company I work for. I firmly believe this is a good project, and I think that PolyMet is also going to support me in my endeavors in being a sales rep. And I just wish them well, and I hope that everybody here that's young, that's looking for a good job, and willing to stay here, pay their taxes, I think it's a win-win situation for all of us. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Aurora from Eagleson's Township here in Ely. I'm opposed to the current PolyMet SDIS as it is a highly flawed project. It serves as a wonderful public relations tool, but does little to protect the area's wetlands, lakes, rivers, and watersheds. The SDIS learns nothing from past problems, pays little heed to the concerns of other agencies, and is based on best case scenario rather than on hard historical data. This is a business as usual. PolyMet will build in the expected costs of fines and lawsuits that will result from expected contamination. According to Patricia Angleton of MPCA, since 2010, there have been 12 water quality enforcement actions against 8 metallic mining operations, which we know how to do. The settled cases resulted in fines of over $113,000. The companies paid money, but the pollutants. In 1999, Arizona Engineering Company prepared a report of well and groundwater contamination for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. The easy cleanup of the old Air Force Station in Finland, Minnesota, proved not so easy, as frequent fracturing had allowed groundwater and well contamination. Contaminants polluted private wells, municipal water Finland. The SDIS says little about the problem posed by fractures. Pollution of groundwater and wells doesn't happen under a best case scenario, but in July of 2012, after a record-breaking rainstorm, Duluth learned that nature doesn't always follow best case scenario. The Minnesota Department of Health in August 2009 pointed out that mining activities in this area puts at risk private and public wells because, I'm quoting, wells in this area are a public health concern because the aquifer exhibits sensitive geologic conditions. Here, there are no protected layers of fine-grained materials such as clay or shale to prevent the movement of contaminants into the aquifer. The SDIS is the best case scenario for a double osmosis system that has never been tested with these particular contaminants and at this proposed volume. The SDIS is built on best case scenarios, skewed data to support them. The SDIS promises robust economic benefits with little or no environmental damage. History tells us otherwise. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Rashan Geisler, and I'm giving my time to my daughter, Bianca Geisler.
Andrea. My name is Bianca Geisler, and I'm from Aurora. I'm the Vice President of the 7th grade for commercial work at Southeast High School. I know numerous students who live at or beneath the poverty line due to loss of jobs or lack of opportunities for good paying jobs. Jobs are important for the future of the students of the Southeast and the Iron Range. Presently, good paying jobs jobs are secure, and many of us will have to move away in order to be able to earn a living, keeping and supporting family. The reason our towns are here today in the first place was because of mining. It provided our families with jobs capable of supporting them. We need these jobs that PolyMet will bring to our towns for strong communities and thriving families, not ones that just get by living in poverty. We truly care about our land, air, and water, and believe that SPIS is sufficient to address this. The co-lead agencies have done the job needed to show that PolyMet will not pollute our land, air, and water. I support the work of the DNR, the Army Corps of Engineers, and U.S. Forest Service. I also believe that Minnesota Pollution Control Agency is the best in the world and will make sure the PolyMet does not pollute. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mike Carroll. I'm from Virginia. I have deep roots in both Italy as well as the Twin Cities of Halo Market. I speak to you tonight in support of the review process put forth here, as well as in support of one of the most extensive and expansive recycling projects in Minnesota history, the PolyMet project. I have a keen perspective and interest in the project area. As many of the audience know, I once wore an orange hard hat proudly as an employee of the final pellets produced in the area of operating under my watch. And through my work experience there, I gained a deep and unique knowledge of infrastructure and otherwise. I've seen firsthand the devastating impacts that the LTV has had on the East Range. You know, I was one of the lucky few, and then I found another job in Shore. In my role in Minnesota Power now, I'm able to do what I can to add value to the region and the PolyMet project. I speak tonight in support of the review process managed by the Minnesota League. Some people may think it's a long process. I think that the length of the process has been dictated appropriately by the complexity of the project and the robustness of the Erie mindset. Admittedly, it's also been partially driven by corrections along the way. As best said in last week's comments by former Erie Mayor Strada, and I paraphrase, the process is being conducted by professionals with input from experts, and if at the end of the day the project receives a determination of adequacy, then it should certainly go forward. On the other hand, if the process requires further review, then that review should take place, and that echoes my sentiments to the team. Review of the process indicates that accepted study practices have been followed in all steps. You know, I'm really amused by the misrepresentations behind the 200-year and 500-year impact numbers being bandied about by the media and the project opponents. I see the only relevance of those numbers of any significance as to provide parameters beyond those of reasonable impact. Sound science and basic design of experiments both indicate that you want to extend a study period beyond that time frame in which you reasonably expect impacts to occur. I point to the treatment station at the Mountain Pit as a prime example of this. A facility originally intended to treat discharge based on threshold measurement, which has been needed to run for years based on those same ongoing measurements and due diligence. I also speak tonight in support of the PolyMet project. I've been personally involved with the PolyMet project since 2005. I'm talking my work experience. I got out as an engineer and project manager, and my work in relationship with PolyMet altogether has led me to conclude that the project is a strong one. There's a level of responsibility, ethics, and competency with John, Joe, and their team that's at least on par as that of our other mining companies. In closing, I look forward to successful completion of the public process and the decision of adequacy. I want to stand on the right of that and watch this go in our council.
Nancy, Pomona, Peter, Nancy, you ready?
Good evening. My name is Greg Allen. I am superintendent of Southeast School. It's right here, all of the times. I'm an avid outdoorsman. I care about the environment. I use our natural resources. I canoe, camp, fish, hunt, enjoy these areas. I enjoy the natural beauty of the state and believe mining can't coexist. We live in a beautiful area where mining has existed for generations. I care about protecting the environment as much as the next guy. I support the PolyMet project. As the Iron Range's population has steadily declined, naturally, so has our school enrollment. As you may know or may not know, school funding in the state is based on per pupil counts, which is why over the years, so many schools have consolidated. If you take a look in the large commons, you'll see about 21 different school buildings that are now, all students are housed in one. It's quite a wall of buildings. Many districts have been forced to short-term borrowing to cover costs. Schools on the range do not receive property tax from the mines. They receive tag-on tax when the mines are producing. This extra funding helps, but it's not stable funding. PolyMet mining will bring new jobs, which will bring in new families. School enrollments and our ability to add teachers, class offerings, and new technology will increase as a result. I support PolyMet. The mine's economic impact will directly affect Iron Range School's ability to provide top-notch education for our children. The DNR, U.S. Forest Service, and U.S. Army Corps of Engineers have done great work. If I were grading it, I would give you an A+. Thank you for your comprehensive work. I support this document and the PolyMet project on behalf of one of the many schools that benefit from this well-designed project. I encourage you to move forward. Thank you.
My name is Connie Christian. I think my time to achieve.
I'm David Dobbs-Tony, I'm the state senator of District 6, which we're all sitting in right now. On behalf of the Iron Range delegation, as Representative Bill originally talked about, I'm also speaking for the Iron Range delegation, and I'm here to tell you that we all support this project. As I was saying in Duluth last week, this DEIS is 2,200 pages long and it's cost Polymet upwards of $65 million and has been in the works for over 8 years. There have been 6 agencies involved, both on the state and federal level, as well as the tribes, in order to ensure that all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed. We want it done right, and our laws require it to be done right, and our people want it done right. This SDEIS addresses subaqueous storage, refutes acid rock drainage, and includes financial assurance references which are unique to an EIS. You know, we've been mining up here for 125 years. In fact, it's the result of mining proceeds that the Delta Airline Preservation Center was built. You know, John D. Rockefeller once said that had it not been for the Sabi Iron Range, we never would have won World War II. Well, imagine how much copper is being used in our high-tech military today. PolyMet is an open-pit mine which will provide 500 to 1,000 construction jobs, 366 direct jobs, and over 700 spin-off jobs. Some people say it's not worth it. Well, tell the people of Aurora by Lakes that these jobs aren't worth it and see what kind of reaction you get. Tell the people of the Iron Range that mining jobs aren't necessary and see what kind of reaction you get. Try to even imagine living on the Iron Range without mining. The entire area would be a huge ghost town. PolyMet is mining. This is not sulfide mining. This is precious metals mining. These will be conflict-free minerals. In other words, no 10-year-old kid will be employed at 50 cents a day. No wars are being fought over through regimes, but rather we'll have an environmentally considerate mining in a region where mining has existed and provided for our economy for over 125 years. And after all these years of mining, we still have some of the cleanest water and air in the country, and that was
noted recently by a previously resident University of Minnesota study. Yale University just concluded that of about 62 different minerals that they studied, that there is no good substitute for these minerals. Well, guess what, folks? All these minerals don't fall out of the sky. Every single one of them has to be mined. The National Academy of Science just released the finding that pollution in China makes its way to the U.S. They wrote outsourcing. We can do this thing right. We can do it right here, right now, the right way, with jobs and the environment working hand in hand.
Take a tech pause for just 1 second. You can't see, we're just looking at the stage. Another stenographer on the way, so we're getting a machine just there.
Dylan, share. Larry, we're ready to go.
My name is Dylan Chair. I'd like to make my review over.
Good evening, my name is Sue Goldman, and I'm the general manager of the country and White Lakes. I was born here up on the Iron Range, first generation of White Lakes. My father came here from St. Paul, working at the Whirlpool plant in St. Paul. Brought his 5 children up. I was the first born in White Lakes and have a younger brother also born in White Lakes. I wholeheartedly support moving forward with the PolyMet project. I believe having some skepticism is healthy when it comes to these kinds of projects and the claims that are made, but we operate in an environment of tremendous knowledge and experience and technology. The EIS process is in place to ensure any and all projects meet Minnesota's tough environmental standards. If you read the SEIS, you will see that PolyMet has addressed all the potential issues and proves that copper nickel mining can be both pro-environment and pro-jobs. PolyMet will bring some 360 direct jobs and hundreds more spin-off jobs to an area of the state that needs them. Of course, managing a hotel in White Lakes, this will provide many jobs. I'll be able to hire more employees. Will be filled every day. We all like that. And so even I can give jobs to a lot of people that would be working in the mine. We know how to mine in northeastern Minnesota, and we do it under the strictest standards. If we don't utilize this great resource in mining copper and nickel in Minnesota, these metals will continue to be mined in places around the world that have little or no environmental regulations whatsoever, causing massive pollution to the earth. They will be mined in places around the world that offer no safety protection to workers, where children are routinely put in danger by being forced to work in unsafe conditions, and where workers are exploited by being paid inhumane wages and do not allow them to feed their families. The alternative to mining in Minnesota is to mine in places that have none of our safeguards. Does that make sense? I have confidence in the Coal Lead Agency conclusions. I believe they have been thorough and thoughtful and taken their time to get it right. Let's mine these metals here where we need and want the jobs, and we know we can do it right. Thank you.
I'm going to give my time to Mike Johnson.
Mike Johnson, I'm the current president of the Engineers Club of Northern Minnesota. And the Engineers Club of Northern Minnesota is in favor of the PolyMet project in White Lakes. By gaining the Minnesota DNR and other lead agency approvals of the supplemental draft EIS impact statement, the project included the permitting stage of the project. The PolyMet project has provided a positive economic impact in the region, has given many communities hope, and source of good paying jobs for a considerable time. Engineering Club members have been involved at every step of this process and consider the project, as described, to be economically viable and environmentally sound. The Engineers Club in Northern Minnesota, in its 100th year as an organization, we're dedicated to the advancement of engineering in our region and the social intercourse around the various disciplines of engineering. Much has changed in the way mining is done in the last century, all of them to improve a combination of economic return, societal growth, and environmental protection. We believe that the PolyMet project is respectful of the great tradition of mining in northern Minnesota, while at the same time continuing to improve the various mining processes and results. Minnesota and the United States of America have a process for approving projects such as this. PolyMet has gone to incredible lengths to satisfy the regulations and the law. It is time for the DNR and other coding agencies to grant a positive record of decision for the supplemental draft EIS and allow PolyMet to move into the permitting stage. This positive decision will allow the benefits of the project to be one step closer to reality for the individuals, businesses, and communities of Minnesota and the United States of America. Thank you.
we do has an impact, and we should make as small an impact as we can. This is already the industrial site. We already have a huge facility there. We're using the existing tailings basin, and we have a lot of main road, railroad, and electrical infrastructure in place. Really, the only thing we're doing is making a pit area, and when we talk about hundreds of acres, if you compare that to what we're really doing, to put it into perspective, this is a tiny little spot that we're here. Regarding the issue of risk, we've talked a lot about that tonight, and I also trust all the agencies that have worked very hard for 8 years or more, maybe closer to 10. And I'm assuming they have an awful lot of work to do in that time, and I believe they've been hard at it. Regarding the issue of risk, I'm adverse to risk, and nobody wants that, but I would like to caution our tendency to look for 100% assurances in life, and there just aren't any assurances in that case. And trying to live by that status, nothing can happen. We need these metals, as has been stated by several people here tonight, and PolyMet can mine them while having a plan in place to reduce the possibility of trouble. If we want to eliminate risk, you can't do anything and we will have nothing. Which brings me to my next point of unintended consequences. If we don't do this, there is a cost for not having it. Let's just look at the Middle East in the last 50 years. When we didn't have oil, we were extorted for it. We completely happen, we fight wars. The history of mankind since the beginning of time has been resource-based. If you don't have it, and nobody's going to give it to you, you take it. And you're not immune from pollution here.
My name is Pete Stopper, S-T-E-P-E-R. I live in the city of Rivercentre, Minnesota. Hermantown, Minnesota. I'm very proud of the board. I St. Louis County Commissioner. Commissioner, thank you for bringing your delegation here to allow us to have this civil process. I'm tired of hearing untruths from the anti-mining about water treatment will be required for 100 years and cost billions of dollars. From what I've read in the SDIS, it's a gross exaggeration. On pages 3 and 4 of the SDIS, that states, quote, "It is uncertain how long the PolyMet project will actually require water treatment, but it is expected to be long-term. Actual treatment requirement to be based on measured rather than modeled PolyMet project water quality and performance, as determined through monitoring requirements. PolyMet will be held accountable to maintenance and monitoring required for the permit would not be released until all conditions have been unquote." It does not say treatment will be required for 500 years. It says treatment will be determined using measured results, which is the way the law is designed to responsibly handle it. Isn't that logical? The SDIS shows that PolyMet built and operated a pilot reverse osmosis water treatment plant to show that it could successfully treat the kind of water that it would have on the project. The plant worked, proven technology has been used in lots of other municipalities and industrial applications. PolyMet has been working with regulators for nearly 10 years to ensure compliance. Any holes that were discovered during the EIS have been addressed with the SDIS. The SDIS is a clear reflection of PolyMet's and the agency's work to develop a successful operating mine, bringing important investments to St. Louis County. I am confident, based on the SDIS, that water quality standards will be met for many generations at the plant site, and that mining will not compromise the beauty of the area of our natural resources. I hope that DNR will listen to its own scientists and not the fabrications from the anti-mining crowd. I have confidence in the environmental review process and faith in the regulations and the regulators to hold the company accountable. Mr. Commissioner, the good Lord has blessed this region with these precious metals. They are ready to be mined by our working men and women of the northeastern Minnesota. Our men and women who need the jobs, the English delegation, the and trade
to northern Minnesota in the 1870s, worked in the timber industry. In my great-great-grandfather mined iron on the Cuyuna Range, and my grandfather was one of the last people to boom logs in northern Minnesota. And what we are about, why we came to northern Minnesota, is about natural resources and jobs and growing the economy, growing prosperity. And this project, PolyMet, is a great harbinger of things to come. We have tremendous opportunities to grow jobs, to grow prosperity, and grow our economy, not only in this area, but all across northern Minnesota, because we have a very interconnected economy. But on top of working here and growing prosperity and growing our families and becoming more interconnected, we also fish here. This is our backyard. And the PolyMet project is so well thought out and it's so well engineered, and the oversight is so extraordinary. There is absolutely no reason why we cannot have both economic prosperity and clean water so we can hunt and fish and not only enjoy the economy but also enjoy the ecology. Go PolyMet.
First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for showing up here. I'm just a grunt to work in the mines, like so many other people here. Friends that I work with, friends that I haven't worked with, and I've seen firsthand some of the work that PolyMet does. Maybe not firsthand, but second, third, and fourth hand. They're pretty vigilant in their research. Rightfully so, because I suppose they're told they have to do it that way. But they seem sincere in the way they go about it. I would also like to thank the whole team of PolyMet for taking part in this, giving us the opportunity to push it along. Also, at the same time, I'd like to thank all these people here taking part in this, to make sure that it is done right. The church looks like to me like it's done right. There's no reason, that, in my opinion, as why we can't get along with all our environmentalists. We have seen tonight so far the wild rice thing. Sort of a old-maid expert on wild rice. That sounds like right? This is all going to be a big problem. Wild rice is very susceptible to bad things for it. If something bad shows up for wild rice, it's going to show up quick. And all the experimentation that PolyMet has done in this last 8, 9, 10 years, you'd have to see it to believe it is actually done. And it's a good thing that we have some investors that are willing to take a chance on a venture like this. I'm 100% for PolyMet in that we need the jobs. We have so many of our young people that have left the area. Young families have left because there's no livelihood for them here. There's no one family that I can think of that is capable of supporting a family on $10 an hour wage. It looks like PolyMet is going to be one of the good bearers of good wages and benefits. They already have a facility that's pretty much already built. There's modifications to it, of course. But that is all laid out already and what they're going to do if this is approved. So I think PolyMet needs to go forward so we don't wind up with a whole bunch of ghost towns on there. That's about it. Thank you, Leslie.
Hello, my name is Aurora from SEO. I'm from Finland, Minnesota. I own and operate a downtown Presbyterian ski and Aurora shop in Minnesota. And I specifically want to point out a lot of talk about trusting our officials in these processes, that we are all kind of putting our eggs in that basket as far as our government entities keeping an eye on our environmental quality. I've watched the PCA openly allow loose and mountain corporations to violate their water permit to draw down the Hall River for 10 years. So as we say, yeah, this environmental review process looks great, and I want to trust the DNR and the MPC to do a good job. I personally watched my area them not do their jobs. And we're all human beings, we all make mistakes. And I think that it's our job to hold these people accountable when mistakes are made. So I also am very concerned about, after 2 years ago, watching a 500-year flood that come to our area, after a 200-year flood that come to our area, and not see those types of events not be included in these environmental review processes. I think that's one of the biggest oversights that we can make right now. You know, all of us will be in the ground in 100 years, okay, but our kids and our grandkids are going to be here to deal with this planet that we live on. And every single 98% of scientists on this planet point to a planet where we are dealing with more and more climate extremes. And if you can't wake up to that fact and look what's happening on the planet, seeing all the records being broken on a monthly, daily basis on the planet, I think we have our priorities mixed up. I also want to point out too, I have a son, I have two sons, and there's a lot of talk about progress and how wonderful progress is and what a great thing it is. It is wonderful on one hand, but it is a double-edged sword. You know, we need copper for our devices. I have a smartphone. I don't have electricity in my house. I want to run around in my house. Okay? And how many people have kids and grandkids are absolutely sick and tired of watching our kids stuck more and more in front of these screens? All right? That's what this copper is going to. It's going to China to make these devices to be sold back to us so that our kids can spend less and less time with us. I'm not going to allow that to happen. Okay? So, thank you.
Really close to the mic. Closer to the mic, please.
However, I do consider myself somewhat of an expert on the agencies that are in need of this environmental review. I worked in the heavily regulated industry for 28 years, and have had many performance and not through environmental reviews. The essence of the DNR and the Army Corps and the Forest Service also. And what I know of is that they've always without fail been very cautious and deliberate, and really spent the time and energy necessary to make sure that they have everything they were supposed to do. My observations about the supplement drafting of S are, first of all, that it's been a long time. I mean, 10 years is enough time for any EIS to be fully developed. And it's based on what I think are very conservative assumptions. So I think we're really looking at a worst case scenario in the predictions of the past. And it really provides a comprehensive and understandable analysis of the issues, which it should after 10 years of development. I think PolyMet has demonstrated a commitment to this rate. They've been at it for 10 years as well. They've put in tens of millions of dollars into environmental studies. And it's also clear that they respect the role and the obligations of the agencies that we have to give them permits. My opinion is that this SDEIS is more than adequate and it's meant to move forward into permits. Based on everything I've known and all my experiences with the agencies, I think we can all trust them to do just as good of a job in the permitting as they've done in developing this EIS. Thank you.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Bud Montana, and I'm a manager at Joy Global Mining Products out of Virginia, Minnesota.
I'm here speaking in favor of the PolyMet project. And leading our research and extensive testing has shown we can have industry, mining, jobs, and clean water. According to the document, the average mining job pays $63,000 per year on average. The jobs PolyMet will create are good, high-paying jobs that people on the Iron Range are trained for and are good. Spin-off jobs that will be created because of PolyMet jobs, like those at Joint Global and I provide, are also very important for our communities. The socioeconomic studies included in the primary geographic area impacted by the PolyMet project include areas of Duluth, Hibbing, Ely, along with some portions of Cook County and Lake County, a vast region. When you look at the population trend in our area, you will see that there is nearly a 10% decrease since 1980. Our young people, my daughter, has had to move away from our community to the cities to find work. These jobs have to be well-paying to sustain a family, to be able to purchase products and drive the economy. The PolyMet project will bring hundreds of these direct-paying jobs back to our region and bring some of our youth back to the families that they left. Mining these deposits in a reasonable way represents the largest economic opportunity for our northeast Minnesota region and the state of Minnesota since iron ore was discovered here, bringing construction and operation jobs that pay enough to support families, provide high-quality health care, and retirement security for the future. If you use, like I do, all the devices in our life these days, which are coming at us faster and faster, you support the mining industry, whether it's here locally or in some foreign country. I'm glad we have state policies that call for responsible extraction of our mineral resources and strong laws and processes in place to ensure we protect the people and the environment when we mine. I support the draft environmental impact statement and believe it provides a sound foundation for the company to seek and obtain the needed permits to operate. Demand for the metals we use every day, like copper and nickel, exceeds the recycled supply domestic supply. We are net importers of these metals. Given that there are no supports and increasing demand, if we are responsible stewards of our total planet, we should be for locally sourced metals rather than depending on foreign countries and thereby sending good jobs overseas and mining in worse environments. Thank you.
Deborah, please.
My name is Deborah Peace, and I'm a resident of Ely, Minnesota. And I would like to address some issues that have come again and again in this discussion. Science, data-driven outcomes, and socioeconomics. My comments will really focus on what I perceive to be flaws in two interactive parts of the SDEIS, modeling of water movement at the mine site, and current hydrology of the site, and the impact of these model errors on another section, which is the socioeconomic section. After reviewing the information, I have read the whole EIS, and I have especially paid attention to Chapter 8, Appendix C. And in there are scientific studies, and the ones that I found most compelling were the 5 letters and memos contained in the hydrology section of Appendix C. I contend that these problems in the model, and heard some questions about the importance of modeling, and I will also mention to the fact that it's PolyMet's modeling itself that has contained 200-year, 500-year outcomes. However, the model water quality in 500 years is only the point at which the water doesn't get worse. The predictions in these models create serious challenges in prediction of critical economic components, future mitigation and remediation costs. Risk assessment cannot be separated from risk management. Therefore, critical flaws present in assessment of risks will lead to critical flaws in estimation of future costs. I'll highlight the flaws briefly. I included them in my comment that I submitted. First of all, when we're looking at a model, a major tenet of modeling is that computer simulations are discredited if the things they are looking at have not been tested and do not reflect adequate field conditions. The surface water model has failed to do that. Secondly, the Goldstein model, which predicts water quality at the mine site, also did not do a job of
Chair. Good evening. Benito Mussolini from Rivercentre. Thank you guys for your time and coming here. Appreciate everything you've done. Standing up, being grateful to us. I'm not going to. You guys have done a great job. Your employees have done a great job. I think this environmental impact statement is above that. We need to go forward with this. I live in Paris, Minnesota. I live 6 miles away from the gate to this plant. I was born and raised here. I hunt. I fish. Right in the backyard of this plant that they're proposing. Before that, I was LTV. Nobody's had a problem from these waters. We are monitoring. We are taking care of them. We are stewards of our area. I fully believe that our government agencies will make sure this area will remain intact and pure. We can have mining, we can have tourism. So with that being said, again, thank you guys very much. Job well done. Thank you.
arsenic that may be found in fish, game, and wild rice, as well as water, and may cause particular harm to tribal members or those families who rely on fish, game, and wild rice. Please take the following actions to protect human health from impacts of the PolyMet project. Redo the SDEIS to disclose mercury concentrations and loading release directly or indirectly into the surface waters from all PolyMet sources. Redo the SDEIS to assess mercury impacts without unreasonable assumptions, like the offset for embarrassed mercury increases, or the claim that 92% of mercury is never released from the surface. Redo the SDEIS to evaluate methyl mercury micromanipulation, air emissions of mercury, sulfides,
visiting later in the evening, you're speaking, you may want to get close by and do that.
I'm Benito Mussolini, and I am going to yield my time to Benito Mussolini.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Bonjour, my name is Benito Crow, and I'm K-I-C-R-O-W-E. I bet you think I'm here to talk about wild rice. What's missing from the EIS is the socio-economic impacts of mining. I see the news reports from North Dakota, and know we have to address the social impacts from the PolyMet mining operation. I'm talking about the rise in sex trafficking, and with that, an increase in advocates needed to care for the increase in those reporting. Need for increase in policing and education of policemen called to help prostitute victims and victims of sexual violence, and the need for more sexual assault nurse examiners to be available, including housing for victims will be necessary. This is a quote from freedomwork.org. It is generally believed that human trafficking is a human rights abuse, which fundamentally can be disaggregated into a political issue or an issue of inequality. It is not. The reality today is that sex trafficking is a mining issue and an environmental issue. How will PolyMet work to protect the vulnerable population of the communities they will be moving into? How will they help fund the organizations that work with victims of trafficking and rape? How will they help to educate their employees to report suspected trafficking going on around them? The SEIS is not complete until these impacts are addressed. Midway.
My name is Isabel, and I'm going to manage the building.
Hello, my name is Bill Werther, Ely, lifelong resident, third generation school worker. I'm a business owner in Ely and former school worker. I look at the opportunity that it brings calling events to our area. I look at the needs, the jobs, the benefits it will bring to our communities, the state, and the nation. I also look at the challenges that face a project like this in water quality, wetlands, wildlife, etc. Growing up in Ely's population was near 6,000. The K-12 enrollment was 1,775 students. Today there are 540 kids in Ely's K-12. A drop of 70%, resulting in loss of dozens of teaching jobs. Ely's population today is about 3,460, a drop of 264 from 2000 to 2010. Sure, there's more people living in townships, but that doesn't tell the whole story. Drive through town and look at 15 shuttered storefronts. The additional people in the townships haven't kept those businesses open. Drive from the post office to Central Avenue on Harvard Street. 8 empty houses in 2 blocks. The 2022 housing was 17% of 344 are vacant. Shingles coming off the roof. Our median age is now 45.3 and climbing, a jump of more than 6% since the 2000 census. Ely's median household income has dropped from $27,600 in 2000 to about an average of $24,000 as of the 2010 census. 200 families with food shelf assistance this year compared to 110 last year. Tourism by itself is not providing sustainability. Obviously, there's a tremendous need for jobs here. In our area, not China, we need defense. We also care that the mining is done environmentally responsible to maintain our clean water and air. iPhones, iPads, computers, electronic devices use the metals that come from this project. Hybrid cars are 40 to 60 pounds of copper. Gas engines use catalytic converters made of platinum to clean their exhaust. Wind turbines use about 4 to 5,000 pounds of copper in the windings. When you turn on the appliances or lights in your house, you're using copper. When you go to the dentist or doctor, stainless steel surgical tools are nickel galvanized steel. Therefore, after reading the SPEIS summary and review other parts of the document, I can conclude that the scientists and technicians that researched and evaluated the processes including litigation and treatment procedures, have done an in-depth job to adequately address these issues, and I support the findings for this project to move forward.
William Taylor Howell. Ross Peterson. Jeff Goya. Jeff Goya.
Jeff Williams, and I'm deferring my time to Matt.
My name is Matthew Richard, last name spelled Robert John Matthew Edward Charles. The group is a few miles away from me, so right now I'm attend college at St. Scholastic my home as I have for the last 12 years. Young people like me find good things in families and state jobs. PolyMet project brings hundreds of these direct jobs back to our region, plus hundreds of more spin-off jobs. PolyMet will give us the chance to grow responsibly and give us the chance to move back home to raise our kids. For those who argue that this is a nearsighted project, providing only 20 years of jobs for unfathomable amounts of pollution, here I say you're wrong. PolyMet will be a pioneer in showing combining these resources responsibly and will pave the way for other such projects in North Carolina. Minnesota is incredibly fortunate to have some of the largest deposits of these metals in the world located in an area that is already set up for mining activity with strong environmental regulations. The draft EIS demonstrates that operative mining can be done responsibly in Minnesota. The SDEIS does not say treatment will be required for 500 years. It says treatment will be determined using measured results, which is the way the law is designed to responsibly handle it. The 200 and 500-year time frames used in the SDEIS model represent the duration that the models were run, not to predict how long treatment will be needed. The model was designed simply to make sure that at a distant year far in the future, say 2514, water quality standards will be met. And guess what? The models say it will. When a project admits pollution may occur, they have to. And scientifically also say any pollution release will still be within guidelines and standards. Are you truly against the project which shows how technology can be used to safely, legally, and smartly obtain these resources? Or are you against any and all pollution? If the truth is you're against 100% of pollutants, it's going to be a very cold walk home tonight in North Carolina, because surely you don't want to be burning fossil fuels in an internal combustion engine or risking water damage to hydroelectric plants while you're hydrating. I'm confident based on the SDIS, the water quality standards will be met for many generations at the mine or plant site, and the mine will not compromise the beauty of the area. I believe the company has gone above and beyond to show us capable of protecting our water and resources. I trust that the science is good on this because reverse osmosis has been around for a long time. Reverse osmosis has already been used to treat more than 2 million gallons of minimally contaminated water from the former LTV site. Without PolyMet and reverse osmosis, these pollutants will continue to leach into nearby waters. What does that mean? That the only way to guarantee polluted waters and environment is to continue to deny this project, as PolyMet will be bound under the terms to leave the site clear upon completion of the mine. I encourage and ask the DNR, EPA, and other government entities associated with the project to publish a quick facts list acknowledging some of the more often called misconceptions with the SDEIS and PolyMet project, as I mentioned. Another often misquoted fact specifically is that PolyMet will pollute the BWCA. Thanks to a geological formation features known as the Laurentian Divide, water cannot and will not flow north to any water that came from the BWCA. To those who say water is water and it is polluted, it's all polluted, I respond saying yes, I took a past eighth grade science as well and learned all about the water system. But if that's your argument, why are you attempting to delay a project to produce these needed minerals in an environmentally friendly way? Where are your rallies demanding change in China, Brazil, and 3 countries with lax regulations? You can't say not find that environmentalist, but I'm okay with pollution.
Greetings, everyone. My name is John Sweeney. I'm a Minnesota Point Lakes native. I grew up here. I see a lot of memories in this gym from growing up here and going to high school here. I am now a small business owner in Point Lakes, and I actually left the area due to the impending close of the mining around here and issues that were going on. I would like to see PolyMet come in and give our youth and our natives here an opportunity to choose to leave if they want to go out and find education, employment in other areas, experience the world, but not have to leave. Without PolyMet and other companies like PolyMet, we understand that there will be no choice. And as a small business owner in White Lakes, we can see that if we don't get the industries back into town, in the area, that a lot of small business owners will in fact go under. So we are looking forward to having PolyMet come in. We're looking forward to the checks and balances that are going to be provided to ensure that we do have healthy, clean water, healthy environment, and that these chemicals that are being referred to not actually leach into the environment and destroy the environment as many people are claiming. That's about all I have to say, and thank you guys for coming out and giving us an opportunity to express ourselves, and look forward to seeing you guys in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Wally Walburn. Well, Wally's walking up, just if you're interested in the timing, we started at 7:07. We were going to 10:07, although we took 7 minutes of breaks for the stenography, so we're going to 10:17.
I'm Wally Walburn, and I'm today in Washington.
Waters, WATERS. I am a member of Up North Jobs, which has over 600 members in Ely. It's a nonprofit organization in favor of jobs, any kind of jobs on the Iron Range. I'm a business owner in Ely. Last year was my 50th year in business. And like some of the people here, I am in the tourist business, doesn't have anything to do with mining. It's strictly tourism. It's not open in the winter time, it's strictly a seasonal business. So I don't have any links to economic help from the mining industry necessarily, other than the ones from reduced taxes and things. That being said, I'm also a conservationist. I think I can consider myself an environmentalist. And I am in favor of clean water. I am also in favor of mining, especially copper nickel mining and the PolyMet project. I think the environmental impact statement that was done was excellent. And I think that, not being a scientist, I will rely on what they've said in that statement. One fact I'd like to clear up. In Ely, it seems that some of the organizations that feel like Ely is, they call it sustainable Ely. And that is based on that tourism can sustain Ely. Tourism cannot sustain Ely. Since I started in business, Ely has changed dramatically. We used to have year-round bus service. At one time, Ely had passenger train service. We had 5 grocery stores, we're down to 2. We had 2 lumber yards, we're down to 1. We had 1,700 plus students in the schools, we're down to 500 and some. We're in danger of having our school go through consolidation. We're in danger of losing our hospital. All these things point to the fact that Ely and the entire East Range needs mining. This is what the range was built on. This is what will sustain Ely and the rest of the range is mining. We can have both. We can have mining, we can have clean water, we can have tourism. There's no reason to not have any of those. Thank you very much.
My name is Nancy McCready. I'm from Ely. Actually, I live on Fall Lake, which is in the Bushwick watershed. Conservationists with common sense. We represent over 4,000 people all across the United States. Back in the 1970s, environmental organizations made us all a little bit more aware of pollution and environmental issues. We have the Clean Water and the Clean Water and Air Act due to their efforts. Also in the 1970s, there was much talk about ECO wanting to mine copper nickel. Fortunately, that didn't happen, as we didn't have the strict pollution regulations that we have today. Times have changed. We have more pollution and environmental regulations to protect our water and air than we did 40 years ago. And right along with those better regulations, we have far better mining technology. So-called environmental groups are making the same arguments today as they did 40 years ago. It's never been done before. All copper nickel mines pollute. They have become extreme preservationist groups against all economic development they deem as incompatible with our area. These preservation groups refuse to acknowledge advances in mining technology. Instead of embracing this new technology and working with PolyMet and others, they oppose these projects with false rhetoric and propaganda. They have done the same with logging. These are the same groups that have opposed cell phone tower near Fall Lake and are fighting to stop a short snowmobile trail from north of Grand Parade from McFarland Lake to South Fall Lake, because this is all outside of the boundary waters, and they say it's too close to the boundary waters, and the boundary waters has no boundaries. The environmental community should be ashamed of themselves. They should be embracing this new technology and working together to make this project happen. Conservationist with common sense supports the SDEIS and the permitting process of the PolyMet project. We support scientific data and objective analysis of government agencies and elected officials when making and implementing land management and environmental policies. Public input is also important, but hopefully science will prove or disprove if PolyMet can be done safely, and that the decision-making isn't left up to the courts and environmental lawyers. Enough with more delays. Let's get this project going. Thank you.
Jerry Allen, is it around? Jerry? Matthew Tyler?
Spoke, so
No, if you've already spoken, you can. Yeah, your time is, you don't have time to yell. Thank you for letting us know. So we're on to Vern Samula, just in terms of fairness for everybody, the opportunities. Is Vern available? Not present. Margaret Skeleton? How do you spell? You guys are good. Wow. Jane Kaushak? Carl Winkler? Olivia Ridge. Are you coming up to speak? Yeah, Olivia Ridge. Chad Sarr.
My name is Chad Starr, and I'm going to use my time to Margaret Hogan.
My name is Margaret Hogan. I'm a native of Aurora, and I work for Minnesota Power as Vice President of Regulatory and Legislative Affairs. Minnesota Power will strongly support the PolyMet project and grant the EIS. The mining industry has a long history and remains profound for this region of the state. Because of mining, my dad had worked to give us a comfortable life, and certainly not one of luxury. My dad ran heavy equipment for Minnesota Power. His job provided staples of a middle-class life: food, clothing, health care, college education for 4 children, and a decent retirement. Because of mining, we have strong schools and communities that help us become educated, contributing citizens. My family and hundreds of others like us northeastern Minnesota because of mining. We were also blessed with endless opportunities to appreciate nature and recreate right out of our front door. For the past 130 years, northeastern Minnesota residents have not only mined our resources for the betterment of the state, but we have preserved the land so that others can enjoy its beauty. After decades of mining, this is still a beautiful place to live, and mining provides high-quality jobs directly and indirectly that are the mainstay of this natural resource-based economy. PolyMet's technology and project proposal will create more and diverse mining jobs. All, as the EIS shows, protecting this region we call home. While I grew up here, I have also lived in the metro area where the presence of quality jobs and the life that comes with them is a given the rest of the state doesn't have. Mining brings metro-type economic opportunity to places like Aurora and Great Lakes in Virginia and Canada. Mining sustains and elevates the opportunity for a quality of life here that is too often only available in the largest cities. Cities which grow bigger, more congested, and more environmentally and socially challenged by the day. PolyMet is a tremendous opportunity to create high-quality employment for people living a high quality of life here. I spent a large part of my career dealing with state government and issues of industry policy and regulation. After the professional and public review of the PolyMet EIS through this process, I am confident state and federal agencies will find the project is predictable in a way that fully protects the environment. I'm confident because I have reviewed the EIS, which has been so comprehensively developed by multiple state, federal, and tribal agencies. I'm confident because I know our agencies carry out the regulatory responsibilities competently, thoroughly, with the highest integrity. This regulatory competence and diligence is evident in this process and will continue once PolyMet is not active. Aurora Lakes and our region expect and will accept no less. Our society clearly needs the minerals PolyMet will produce, and our regulators have clearly met their responsibility to develop the time.
Dan, you may.
My name is Dan Humay, and I live between Giddy and Powell, halfway. And I want to thank you for that hearing, and I hope you're listening carefully to a lot of good things you said tonight. None of us are as smart as all of us. So it's important that we take what we hear and really think about it. This is really kind of an amazing process. As I look at this document, and I'm not going to tell you I read 20 pages, I think that's impossible. But I did focus on some things that were a concern of mine, and I'm not going to talk about what if, what will be, or how long it will be. I want to talk about what is right now. Right now, today, as we sit here, in this watershed, the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency has classified dozens of streams, rivers, and lakes as impaired. What makes them impaired? Levels of mercury above what we consider to be safe. Metallized mercury appearing in fish tissue. 1 in 10 children who are born in this watershed have elevated levels of mercury in their body when they are born. That's not a statistical anomaly, but compared to other places in the state, it's astronomical. This project, as good as it appears to be, and the scientists who are examining what it claims, admits this in this document. Annually, 11 million gallons of untreated water will be released into the watershed from the tailings containment area. Another 5 million gallons will be released into the watershed from the mine site itself. 16 million gallons of water. This year, next year, the next year, the next year, the next year. How much mercury is that? The EIS really falls short of dealing with mercury, and I think it behooves you to hold them accountable. We certainly expect that. Everybody here who's in the mining community expects it, and those of us who aren't to live here also expect it. Matter of fact, we demand it. We cannot put at rest children who are innocent residents the way we are now. 1,675 kids that have tested positive so far. And I think that's impossible in the name of jobs or girls or anything else. Children is all we need.
Roger Thompson. Al Dominic. Yell out if you're here, okay? Dave Zielinski.
Thank you, Dave, members of the committee and groups here. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to be putting on two different hats here. I'm putting on a hat as Virginia City Council of the City of Virginia. My name is Charles R. Barrowby. Last name is B-A-R-I-E-P-A-B. With that, I'm going to introduce for the record two resolutions that we passed on PolyMet. One for the original draft EIS that we're putting together. Another resolution at next Tuesday's council meeting for this current supplemental and our EIS draft. I've been a part of this for 40 years throughout the community of Virginia. We support the PolyMet from a city council perspective. We supported 100% these resolutions. There were 7 nothing vote and a 5 nothing vote for 2 members absent. The PolyMet project will increase, and it's already mentioned, jobs in this area by about 400 construction jobs, from 1,000 to more. The unemployment rate right now is higher than the state average, so this will help to increase the employment in this area. There will be high-paying jobs. There will be an increase of younger families through subsistence of everything around everything. There will be an increase in school enrollment, an increase in realistic values of homes and businesses if this project goes through. There will be an increase in all types of sales. Now I'm going to put on my hat as a pharmacist. The water process of reverse osmosis has been in business as long as I've been a pharmacist for 40 years. The quality of water coming out of this system will be better than the water that they're drawing from whatever streams and etc. that they draw the water from. The process will be pure. All the minerals, all the chemicals, the mercury, everything you've heard people talk about will not be available to go back into the downstream system of the Lake Superior watershed. We in Virginia are held to a standard of mercury that will be identical to what the environmental system requires of the mining industry. That standard is based on a brand new sewage treatment plant that just put into operation here in Virginia this past year. So it's a brand new standard that mining will be held to. Just a couple of things. First, I was using drinking water purification. Food producers, they're also water industries. The sewage treatment plants, their desalination of fresh water from the ocean. The pharmaceutical industry has used reverse osmosis for the purity of water for 20 years. One last thing, it also extracts bacteria and pathogens from the system depending on the membranes they use. So the water will be more pure.
Jim William, Jason Spratsky, Nancy McGreevy, spoke, that's what I got to. Brent Chesnick,
My name is Larry Cuffey, C-U-F-F-E. I'm a resident of the city of Virginia, and I'm also on the city of Virginia City Council. I've been here ever since this place opened up, and I had a speech prepared as something to talk about here, but it's going to be redundant with what everybody else has already said. I'm a fourth generation Iron Ranger. My father is of Italian descent, and my mother is Ojibwe. We have a very strong family background, strong family heritage. Mining has been in our family for years. My grandfather was a miner. My other grandfather was a miner. We all shared those experiences. If it wasn't for mining, I would not be here. And if you look at the White mining compared to the PolyMet project, there is a comparison here. Now, there's been a lot of talk about opposition, about the water, about not having this stuff done properly. What I'm telling you right now, we live in the United States of America, the most advanced industrialized nation in the world. We have the cleanest water, we have the cleanest environmental protection, we have a Minnesota Pollution Control Agency that's a pain in our butt, but it's necessary because they do their due diligence. I rely on experts to make decisions. Every time you take a risk in life, there's a risk. There's never going to be an absolute. But when you take every precaution and you spend hundreds of millions of dollars and 10 years of investment in order to do something that's going to be economically boom to a community that is dying on the vine. The city of Virginia had a population when I was growing up of about 18,000 people when the mines were booming and the construction was going on. Now we have about 8,800 people. We have a housing crisis in Virginia. These houses are abandoned. People left because there are no jobs. This United States of America is built on people. And I heard this spoken from other planet. Everybody here. It's the people working together. But we have a community. Virginia, Evelyn, Gilbert, Milwaukee, Aurora, White Place. All across this iron range is based upon our bread and butter, our way of life, in order for us to live. Mining is the major contributing factor to our ability to survive and to raise our family. We as the city council, we as a family, all my friends, we all support the PolyMet project. There's a lot of things to say about the water, the quality of the PAS study. I find that this is just another due diligence. Let's move forward.
Lois, Bill Horvath, Donna Stevens,
Hello, my name is Chris Spensby, S-P-E-N-N-I-N-G-S-B-Y, and I'm a resident of Duluth, Minnesota, and I support the PolyMet project as outlined in the SDIS for three primary reasons. The first reason I believe the PolyMet project should advance the permitting phase is my faith in the environmental review process. Our country, and in particular our state, with one of the highest standards for air quality and water quality in the world, and our regulatory permitting process works as designed. One example of this improvement is the improvements made in the underground containment and water treatment since the original draft impact statement in 2009. The regulating agencies of PolyMet identified an improvement in the process, tested and implemented this new design, and now they're able to reduce the projected solvent level of the wastewater discharge to less than 10 kilograms per year, which by the way is 25 times less than the standard required for the second reason I support the PolyMet project is that minerals in our state under our very strict regulatory control is beyond illegal. We have already decided as a society that minerals such as copper and nickel are required for modern
project will not advance the worldwide demand for copper that fuels our improvement in quality of life. Will still be built, not under the restricted environmental review process procedures. Right? Finally, I support the PolyMet project and the economic benefits documented in the study by the University of Minnesota referencing the environmental taxation. Economic development in this area creates a future for young people to stay in this area and afford to raise a family. And it's not only for the workers in mind, it's supporting contractors and those who operate businesses in the area. The economic benefits will also trickle over to areas such as Duluth, Aurora, and down to St. Paul and local taxes. Because of the strong regulations and oversight in our state, these jobs can exist sector. I would like to thank the DNR, Army Corps of Engineers, U.S. Forest Service, as well as everyone who showed up tonight. In the words of Thomas Jefferson, wherever the people are well informed, they can be trusted with their own government.
And Harp. Just thank you for that. We have been double checking, but we're going so fast just to keep things going, so just keep it up. Thank you. Deborah Cleese. She's Carl Etter.
My name is Andrew Slade. I live in Duluth, Minnesota. As we were waiting for the last really 2 years for this DIS to come out, I was really hoping that this would be a good project, that it was something I could rally behind. But unfortunately, for a lot of reasons, the project as proposed has some real problems. I'm not going to go into that right now, but I would like to talk about some structural problems with the EIS document itself. First of all, we've seen some proof tonight that the 90-day comment period is really too short. There's been lots of folks coming up to these microphones and saying, I don't understand this. I can't understand this, it's too long. And what that's meant is that, this is what they said, I'm going to rely on the agencies to have done this correctly. And I appreciate that sentiment, but I think that flies right in the face of what this whole process is set up for. This was not set up so people could not read it and just trust the people who did it, if that makes sense. The other thing I'd like to talk about, I think this is more important, is that the project fundamentally, the EIS document does not present it presents very few alternatives. The only alternative is the size of the exchange from the Forest Service. There was buried in the EIS the rejection of an alternative, which I really think should have been considered more seriously. That was the alternative of underground mining. Here's why I think that should have been considered. For one thing, it would have reduced the impact on wetlands by about 900 acres less than high quality wetlands impacted. But it also would have made for a more complex project, a project which would have led to more employment. Now, we all want jobs. Underground mining would have provided more jobs. However, the reason that it was rejected out of the EIS as an alternative was pretty simple. It was too expensive. Based on copper prices of today, it would have been too expensive to put that in both to do the underground mine. Which means that the company has said, we don't want to have that complex organizing where we need to hire more people to do it. We're going to do it cheaper and quicker, and not wait for examples when copper prices go up. Which raises another bigger question, I'm sorry, but what will happen to this project if and when copper prices go back down again? I think we're setting ourselves up to do a poor project, and we're doing it too soon. So it's why I feel like the EIS is missing a very important alternative that should have been. Thank you.
Deborah Carl Etter. Susan Roman, Mitch Robertson. Who's sitting here who thinks their name's still in there who's ready to talk? Raise your hand. How many people? Do I really see 1, 2, 3? No, there's more hands than we can definitely handle. Okay, we're going to just throw names quick. Chris Speningsky.
I spoke.
Karen Kruger. Jay Lehman. Brian Kegler from Whitlinks. I apologize if I hurt your name. Donald Barstad.
There he is.
If you type your name in here, we'll sit in the front row so we know.
I don't forget the speaking of the part, but anyway, releasing my.
Good evening. Name's Art Ben, lifelong Iron Ranger, born and raised in Hibbing. Been working in the mining industry for over 52 years now. I graduated from Hibbing High School in 1963. Graduating class at that time was 325. Also, in about 1963, happened to be the year that they passed the Tax Relief Act, which spawned massive investment in this region to build 6 taconite plants. Jobs were everywhere by 1965, and people that had once moved away started to return. People with teaching degrees were taking jobs as laborers in the area taconite plants because the jobs paid better. Our economy was vibrant and the young people were everywhere. Well, the world has changed. We have to compete with many manufacturing and mining jobs that are now being done in third world countries under some of the worst job conditions imaginable, with little regard for human health or the environment. Graduating classes in Hibbing today are about 150. You have to have good paying jobs to support young families. Tourism? Yeah, we like tourism. Tourism would make a pimple on a mining job behind when you compare the economics each of those jobs producing. On the horizon is the next era of mining and the top paying jobs that will come with development of one of the world's largest deposits of precious metals. I guess I'm part of the southern majority, most of which is left home. Lost my place. I guess I'm getting tired of listening to the anti-mining group whose main focus seems to be to stop any mining development. Keep talking about 200, 500 years of water treatment. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say the treatment will be 500 years. It says treatment will be determined using measured results, which is the way the law is designed to be responsibly handled. The 200 to 500 year time frames used in the SDIS model represents the duration that the models were run, not to predict how long treatment would be needed. Read page 39 and then take a good look at your life. You drive a car, have electricity, buy groceries, have a cell phone, a computer, or go to the clinic or hospital. Everything we do is touched in some way by these metals. If you can't grow it, you got to dig it out of the ground. I would venture a guess that those against this project have just as big an environmental footprint as they do everyone else, and they enjoy the quality of the life these metals help to provide. Does that make them hypocritical? In the news yesterday, it was reported that 10% of the air pollution on the west coast of this country comes from China. We can do this project right our mining industry to operate under the strictest environmental regulation anywhere in the world. And we have all these agencies to watch over them. We need this project.
Mitch Robertson, Michael Johnson, Larry Popovich, Sally Bunker.
I'm not standing here to speak as a technical expert with the SDIS. There are many people who've spoken on that tonight. But I'm speaking as a person who is very concerned about what we have in the copper nickel mine when it comes to Northeastern Minnesota. I'm a proud daughter-in-law of Willard Bunker, longtime chair of the House Natural Resources and Environment Committee, who is largely responsible for the strong environmental regulations we have in place in Minnesota today. I wish Willard were here tonight to lend his voice in opposition to this proposal. Why do I say that? Willard knew that clean water is the key to life and fought his whole legislative career to keep our waters safe and clean. More and more, we are seeing how precious a resource clean water is as areas of our country and around the world experience water shortages. Why would we want to take a chance on this process when we are in a water-rich area and the report itself says that remediation will be needed or could be needed for 500 years? That alone makes no sense. Add to that copper nickel mining has never been done anywhere without significant environmental damage. Let me say that again. Copper nickel mining has never been done anywhere without significant environmental damage. The immediate response to that has always been, that is using old technology. We have something new. Now that new thing is reverse osmosis. Before we take one step to do this, I ask that it be proven that this process will work on the scale that will be needed. In other words, prove it first. I understand that jobs are needed on the Iron Range. Are the jobs that will be created livable wage jobs? And how long will they really last? Is this really the answer? I've heard it said that the NIMBY principle, not in my backyard, is coming into play here. I am glad people are saying, not in my backyard. This is everyone's backyard, and we are right to want to keep it safe and pristine. In my family of origin, we had a saying, if you have to ask the question, you already know the answer. The answer in this case is that northeastern Minnesota is not the place to do this type of mining.
We'll be the last two speakers.
Hi, I'm Jesse Peterson. I'm from Duluth. I want to talk a little bit about some of the job creation that has gone on with PolyMet mining. One of the jobs created was a wonderful job for a poor fellow who's been pining to have his life put back together ever since the BP oil spill. His name's Tony Hilbert, and he's got a job with Glencore, which is the lead investor in PolyMet. He doesn't have such a great record, and I'd like to just speak to Glencore a little bit. I think it's highly appropriate to do business with a company that's manufacturing families as a way of doing speculative trading to manipulate the price of food. They've also been implemented in sitting on ore to inflate the value. And so they're a criminal organization, they're invested in PolyMet. I think it's highly appropriate to be working with them. And it behooves us that if this is inevitably done and eventually can be done right, that we cannot do business with people that have implemented in exploiting child labor, killing organizers and union members and other various rivers. The St. Louis River was left out completely. This cuts out anyone who fishes or eats fish caught downstream in the St. Louis River or Lake Superior and ignores the impacts on Fond du Lac tribal waters. It is not good science. The PolyMet project would increase mercury in the Embarrass River and could increase mercury methylation near the mine site as well. Increases in mercury or sulfates at PolyMet could increase mercury pollution in St. Louis River. Both existing LTV tailings, seeps, and other mine discharges flowing into the St. Louis River also carry high levels of specific conductance, which the EPA has found can be toxic to fish. Tribal research shows that specific conductance is a water chemistry signature of mine discharge that can take more than 100 miles to dissipate. Cumulative analysis of water quality impacts in the SBIS must include the St. Louis River, most specifically analyze impacts on mercury contamination of fish and impacts of specific conductance levels on fish. So I feel it would be very important for these things to be known that this is an adequate document. It looks like I want to say that Glencore is really able, and I want people to Google them. I do believe something like this could be done maybe 50 years in the future. I think that people should consider nationalizing the resource and making all the money in the United States, guaranteeing that the jobs pay well, and guaranteeing that the ore stays in the United States and Minnesota before they do business with anyone. I don't think it behooves anybody to rush into this project. You should investigate all the players and think about all the possible ways that this stuff could be mined and money could be kept in our region. Thank you.
So I'm Scott Wolf, and I just want to wish Senator Goodwill to all here. I was going to bring that in one of my signs, but I forgot it, so I guess I'll just pass it on verbally. I want to speak today about concern about job and environment. I very much realize that a lot of us are desperate for work. I'm very disappointed that we didn't create jobs when our market fell back in 2007, 2008. So many people are hurting for jobs. I know I volunteer as an assistant controller, and I'm very concerned. And in our neighborhoods, people are desperate. They're doing desperate things. We don't have jobs. And I think the risk now for this sulfide mining is just too great. That the tremendous storms that we have these days with having the Philippines with world record typhoons, the tremendous flooding that we had in Duluth, it's actually true that with global warming we're having tremendous weather changes, and the storms are coming. So we have 500-year storms, we have 100-year storms every few years. So when we worry about seepage from the holding pits, they can flood, and that can be a tremendous problem. Now, I think about the economic concerns in West Virginia, I have to go to West Virginia, that Freedom Industries, when they found that the unanticipated costs of all that spillage was tremendous. That would be unfortunate. I would want us to make sure we have all of our stockholders and all of our investors in PolyMet to make sure that they are being accountable, and not for 5 years, but for decades. And we start looking at a tremendous amount of years. So it's a huge insurance cost. We know tragedies happen. They happened in Chernobyl in the Soviet Union. They happened at Fukushima in Japan. So tragedies happen. You know, we keep in here and say they trust the agencies. Things go wrong. They trust the agencies in West Virginia, and the Freedom Industries found freedom to declare bankruptcy. So let's be careful. We value our environment. I value jobs. I want us to stand together strong. I had a union brother come up and thank me just recently for joining him and standing up at Black Friday. We were giving out pizzas in Duluth to the Walmart workers. So I'm very concerned about labor and one job. We need to stand together for jobs.
appreciate your sticking with it, your